Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this committee as a whole and voting meeting for March 9th, 2026. If you join me in standing for the pledge and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Turn it over to the secretary for roll call.
Ms. Spears? Here. Mr. Bennett?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Bryant?
Here.
Mr. Chauncey?
Here.
Reverend Custer?
Here.
Mr. Pennant?
Here.
Mr. Jacobo, sorry.
It's our first day. Give her a break.
And Mr. Staworski.
Here. Now turn it over to Superintendent Mr. Ford for the committee as a whole.
Our first item of business, we have some guests with us tonight from Connect Ed. We have Max Lynn, is it?
Yep. Yes.
And then we have Aaron Payne, and then Michelle. Okay, am I missing somebody in the middle? Yep.
Joe Collins.
Hi, Joe. So I'll turn the floor over to you. We're looking forward to hearing your presentation.
Thanks so much. And you're okay with driving the presentation?
I'll resend it.
We're good.
Sorry.
Where'd you guys all come in from?
I came from Mechanicsburg, from PSBA headquarters.
Okay.
And go ahead.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
And then Diamond headquarters is in Springfield, New Jersey.
Okay.
So kind of all over the place.
Yes.
We're really excited to see how beautiful it is here. I can't believe there's no snow. How did you get rid of all this?
Yeah. We're all knocking on wood when you said that.
I know, I should say that out loud. Sorry, it's still March. It's still March.
It's not St. Patrick's Day yet.
Yeah, that's right.
The end of the week, we're supposed to get some.
Yeah, you're right.
It's coming.
When is it?
Apologize. Slowly.
Well, I can do a little intro if you'd like before we get to the slide.
Sure.
So, sure, absolutely. I'll tell you how Connect Ed came to
Get the
be.
little spinning wheel
Yeah,
going
yeah,
right
that's
now,
all
so.
good. I understand that. So PSBA recognizes that wireless connectivity is so critically important to school districts and IUs and public education institutions, certainly for everyday learning, but also for emergency communications. Perfect timing. Okay, so wanted to provide a solution for districts to improve their wireless connectivity as well as provide a revenue stream. So if you want to go to the first slide. So PSBA partnered with Diamond to create Connect Ed PA. And as you can see from the slide, the basic program provides districts with education about wireless connectivity, an analysis of their current connectivity and how reliable it is, and then options for them to improve their connectivity and figure out what is the best solution for the district. So if you want to go to the next slide, I won't read all that to you. The way it works is that Diamond, and you'll hear a lot from Diamond about who they are and how more detail about how it works, but basically they market your properties to cellular wireless carriers, and if carriers are interested, they will decide to, actually Diamond will facilitate a tower build and carriers can jump on that tower. The advantage to the district is there is no cost to you. You get improved connectivity, but also you benefit from the lease income as a result of what the carriers pay to be on the tower. Basically, again, it's no cost, there's no obligation to even explore this option. And what we tried to do as a team and as a group and a partnership was try to make it easy. So as you can imagine, it can be very technically legal as you start to talk about marketing agreements and lease agreements and things like that. So what we did as a team was work with legal counsel, PSBA Legal, Diamond Legal, and Specialty Counsel to provide templated documents. We already have a templated site marketing agreement, and you'll hear more about that, so that you're not starting from scratch. You have something to go on. Your solicitor certainly would be involved, but we've at least hopefully created a foundation for you if you decide to go forward. So I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to turn it over to my Diamond partners so they can really get into the nuts and bolts of what they do. Erin?
Yep. Yep. So I'm Erin Payne, the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at Diamond Communications. Diamond is a full-service wireless infrastructure company, and what we do is work with our landlords and partners to help them improve connectivity, and we do that through multiple verticals. It could be building a tower, a co-location on an existing structure like a rooftop, in-building services, public safety, managed Wi-Fi. So basically we want to work with you to figure out the best solutions to help improve your connectivity. We're headquartered in Springfield, New Jersey, but we have presence across the country, including in Pennsylvania. We work with First Energy since 2009. Where we rolled out this program in Texas in 2024, and we already have 70 plus site marketing agreements signed up. And over 20 tower builds in process in our pipeline. We also just recently rolled this out in Florida and are working in other states as well. So this slide here is really to show that we do all this for you guys. We'll do every part of the process, and then you guys will have the final sign-off. So starting with the wireless coverage analysis, which we'll get to later in this deck. We'll look at that analysis and figure out the best solutions for you. We market to the carriers. We have relationships at a regional and national level in Pennsylvania. Our business development manager is constantly communicating with the carriers on a weekly basis. We do the lease negotiations, the community engagement, the zoning meetings, and then the admin and reporting, and we'll report to you on a regular basis. And then one last thing to note is that we're management controlled with additional financing through individual and institutional sources, including Ontario Teachers' Pension. So on this slide here, we show the analysis that we did for your school district, and we use crowdsourced data. The program that we use allows us to look at the coverage strength, and that's the bars that are on your phone, and basically the data is picked up from people actually using different applications on their cell phones. So you'll see here the analysis that we did, and basically the numbers show anything that's negative 85 or greater is good coverage, and then anything negative 105 or less than that is unreliable coverage. And you'll see here that many of the schools fall in that category with the unreliable coverage. The next few slides that Max is going to go through will show on an individual level what the school's coverage looks like. And we are aware of the new tower that's about 0.9 miles away from the Maplewood Elementary School. So you'll see, Max will go through that though.
You can go to the next slide. So what you're gonna see here, I'm Max Lynn. I'm a Senior Vice President of Business Development, and I'm part of the senior management team at Diamond. And what you're gonna see is red's bad, obviously. As you go through this chart, you'll see the negative 115 or less is red, green's negative 74. That's where you wanna be, okay? So this is showing the senior, junior and senior high school, and I think everybody can admit here, the service is quite bad there. Go to the next slide. This is actually showing the elementary school before the new tower was developed. The new tower was developed about 0.9 miles to the east of this site. So this is giving you crowdsourced data. It's not giving it up to date. What we've been running is the last 12 months. So as the tower goes on air, Verizon is the tenant there, and as they go on air, they'll continue to show green coverage there. So if we go to the next slide, what we're showing is this right here is where that North Star Tower was developed and what it's propagating currently. And that's just based on our assumptions of just standardized. Verizon will be able to give you more in depth, but as you can see, the school's completely covered now, and actually some other things. What this junior, senior high school, if we were able to find a place to put a tower site there, you merge these two together, and when you look at RF propagation, what this is showing is anticipated, but what you can say is RF would continue to bleed down through, and you'd have continuous coverage all through this area, making the junior, senior high school a perfect place to place another tower site. If we go to the next slide, it's just showing, again, this is right around here, right? So you see, when you're outside, it's not too bad, but when you get into the building, you're not gonna have reliable coverage, right? And it's showing this. So there's an opportunity here as well to go to the carriers, because this is relatively a higher spot, and it should be able to propagate down through. If we go to the last one, I think this is the Cambridge. You know, we have AT&T showing service here. I don't know where exactly the existing tower was at, but it's still to be a potential for both Verizon and T-Mobile if we went that route. Any questions on any of the maps? We can go backwards, forwards. Any questions on that? All right, we can go to the next slide. Joe?
Hi, everyone. Joe Collin, manager of the Strategic Partnerships team. So Max just touched on indoor connectivity a little bit. We include this slide because that's a big topic for schools. Ways to improve it. Here on the left, that's what this program is all about. It's putting a tower on the corner of one of your school properties, somewhere the school district is okay putting it. It's not going to interfere with future plans, etc. And because you have the signal source so much closer to the building, it's going to improve coverage inside the school as well. Now, Aaron said before, we are a full-service wireless infrastructure company. So besides for just towers, we do other wireless infrastructure, such as systems inside of the building. Now, all the way on the right, an indoor distributed antenna system, or a DAS for short, those would work really, really well. You'd be very happy with them. The issue is they cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, you see these in major airports, stadiums, etc. But if there's not like 20,000 people at the venue at a time, the carriers aren't going to fund them. You have to budget it. So we know that's not really always realistic for school districts. Certainly something we could have a conversation about. But why we always start here first is this is no cost to you all. Now, there's also cell boosters or repeaters. The key word there is repeaters. So what there are, and maybe you've looked at them in the past, I don't know, but it's a small antenna you put on the top of, you put on the roof of a building. It points towards the nearest cell tower, and it takes existing coverage and it repeats that indoors. So Max went through all those coverage maps of your campuses. When there's bad coverage outside, you're going to be spending tens of thousands of dollars on these. You're going to be repeating bad coverage indoors. You may not be very happy with that. So usually we say, don't really spend the money on those until you have a cell tower nearby, so you can take reliable coverage and then repeat that inside and be happy with them.
And should we tackle that, not only the repeater about bad signal, but also about capacity and how it cannot handle the traffic of what a school would have?
Right, so, let's just say there's a certain class where students are all using their devices at a certain time. The repeaters are not really going to help with that. Coverage, and we were looking at the slides before, how many bars I have on my phone at a certain time. Capacity has to do with how strong or resilient is the network when a lot of users are trying to use it at the same time. The repeater's not going to help with that, so you're going to still have problems when a lot of users are trying to access a wireless network at a given time. Okay, so back to cell towers. There's a lot of capital involved with this. So Diamond, to design and build a site, that's going to cost us about $500,000. Same thing with the carriers, for them to design, engineer, and then co-locate their antennas on the tower. That also costs about $500,000. So like Diamond, like a school district, like PSBA, the carriers have annual budgets. They need to plan these out ahead of time. 2026, their budget is largely planned out at this point. So mostly you'd be looking at 2027, even further in advance. The carriers are multi-billion-dollar companies that have really, really big budgets, and they strategically allocate different types of projects and CapEx, putting their antennas on certain towers ahead of time. Now, Diamond has very strong relationships with all three, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. So the quicker we can market your properties to the carriers, the quicker we can tell them, hey, we have a willing landlord here who's at least open to considering an opportunity. You have a network need in this area. Why don't you put a tower on the corner of the junior and senior high school property, improve your network in the area for the schools, the community around it, and then we're able to share some revenue back with you all, which Aaron will touch on the next slide.
So this slide here just shows illustrative economics. So like Joe said, Diamond provides all the capital that goes into building the tower site, which is upwards of $500,000 depending on the type of structure, which we'll get to later. So here it shows the model. The school district would receive 30% of the revenue from the first and second carrier that goes onto the tower, and then 40% of the revenue from the third and any additional tenants that go on the carrier. So you'll see this model here. Basically, we're using a monthly rent of, and this is just showing one new tower, of $2,500 is the rent from the carrier. That's a pretty standard rent. The rents really change based on the area, so depending on the density. If it's in a very dense urban location, it would be a higher rent. If it's in a more rural, it might be a little bit of a lower rent. The escalator here is showing 2.5%, which is pretty market rate standard right now. And then if you look here, you can just see it. We have the carriers number starting with carrier 1 in year 1, and then you have the second carrier coming on in year 3, and the third one in year 5, and then you see the opportunity to make up to 1.5 million plus of revenue from just one tower. And then if you look, and then not showing on here too is that the carriers amend their equipment every 3 to 5 years, so there'll be additional revenue from the amendments, and again, the school district will still have to sign off on any equipment changes and everything else. And then the second bullet there, which is really least relevant to the school district, but for existing structures, which is like rooftops, and generally the carriers want to be on taller structures, so the schools are not usually good locations for a rooftop co-location, but the school district would receive 75% of the revenue from that because we're not building a new structure. Any questions on this?
What's the, in your experience thus far, and I know you're fairly new, what's the chances of getting 1 to 2, like if you say it takes a couple years to probably get one carrier in? Are the chances good to get 2 and 3 once the tower and a carrier is up?
Yeah, absolutely. They're very competitive when it comes to the marketing. And if you just think through the junior and senior high school that was down there, once Verizon goes up, now they're marketing against T-Mobile and AT&T. They're both going to come on that site eventually. Traditionally, when we look across our portfolio, the lease up takes about 5 years to happen. That's why we show like tenant 2 coming on in year 3 and tenant 3 coming in year 5 on that model, because it usually follows that. Now, am I saying I guarantee it's gonna be 5 years? No, it could be 7, but eventually that number is gonna end up.
What kind of strength, so if we put a tower out at Maplewood, how far would that spread out so that we would be not only providing better for the school, but also for the surrounding communities?
Okay, if we can go back to the Maplewood side, it shows the RF prop. This is basically, so the carriers have different spectrum. The higher the frequency, the less it travels. So we're using a base spectrum here of 1900 megahertz, which is the PCS band. So 700 would actually go out a little bit further. So you could have that, but also the benefits of having this on the site, we could also say, hey, if you have school bus services, you could attach an antenna to the top of the tower or such and cover a wider area, because a lot of times you're doing school buses, it's on like 220 megahertz. So those are opportunities that we could work with you guys as well.
Who would own the tower?
So Diamond would own the tower.
Yeah.
Diamond would own the
Yeah, because we're putting in the full, so that liability is on us.
Okay.
Any other questions on this slide?
No, that's right now.
And then here you just see the different tower examples. All the way to the left is our standard monopole. That structure, again, costs upward from $500,000. And then as you go to the right, there's some additional towers. This one here is on a light pole, so if you have a light pole on your field, that's an option. However, sometimes there's not enough space for all the carriers on that. Here's a monopine, so that's a tree tower. Again, we look at the existing surrounding area to try to figure out what the best design is. And we work with the schools to do that. Here's a rooftop structure, and then here all the way to the right is a much more expensive structure that we did for a high-end community in Summerlin, Las Vegas.
Right. And for the junior, senior high school, we'd be looking at more to the left. That's what we were proposing, about 190-foot monopole that we put towards the back of the property. I think for The tower that was developed 0.9 miles away, I believe it's a 250-foot self-support / lattice tower. It wouldn't look like that. It would look more like a pole and it'd be shorter.
And how much property would you need? Half acre, acre?
50 by 50 usually.
Yeah, it's about 2,500 square feet. That's to accommodate all 3 carriers' equipment. It doesn't have to be a perfect square. You can get creative. We work with you on the fencing for the compound, so make sure the fencing is appropriate for a school setting. And then everything that's in that lease compound, we're gonna take care of it, maintain it, landscape it, et cetera. Bring the fiber, the power to the tower. That'd be done.
Any questions?
Does it have to be on school property or just district property? Meaning we have.
Whatever property you own, we would be willing to look at and market it to the carriers.
We have property that's not on the school zone.
Yeah, we always encourage districts to include non-campus properties as part of your site marketing agreement. Just increases the chances of generating carrier interest and being able to bring the revenue back to the school district and your budget. So, I mean, if you own the land, we can lease it and enter into an agreement. Here's a quick slide on just health considerations, before we get into a Q&A, I'm sure this could come up. So, we just rely on credible World Health Organizations and the findings that they've came up with on RF health and safety. If you want to look at a specific study, the World Health Organization in 2024 came out with a really good comprehensive study. It spanned over 30 years of research, and the finding is cell towers and cell phones, for that matter, aren't related to brain or childhood cancer. Brain cancer actually has gone down, and cell phone usage has gone exponentially up. So that's just another data point. But
Yeah, and then before we get into any other questions, the next steps, so we could set up an additional meeting to go through any other analysis you want to see. If you have other properties for us to look at, we can do the analysis on those properties and present that to you. And then, I think Michelle mentioned this earlier, but I know we provided the SMA already, but any questions on the SMA and all the documents, the site marketing agreement, the option ground lease, and the antenna site license agreement have already been vetted through PSBA, which helps with moving things along a little more quickly. And then, again, just to reiterate, the SMA just allows us to market the properties to the carriers. The school district has all final say. If a carrier says you want to come on this property and you guys don't want to seize that property, we would say that property doesn't work and try to figure out a different solution. So once we get the SMA signed, we would market the sites to the carriers, and then, again, the school district has all final approval. Any questions?
I have health concerns. I don't trust WHO because of COVID and all the other stuff. I'm really concerned about the kids' health with 5G frequencies and all that. I'm going to tell the board right now, I'm voting no on this because of certain reasons. It sounds good and we need it, especially in this area. If I have AT&T in Maplewood, and my serve AT&T is pretty good. But overall, just looking at the existence of things that's going on, who can you trust, where can you get information that's true? Putting a tower next to a school building is not an option for me. I think it's a health concern. Even if I look at the WHO, if you come up with some facts, literally, I don't trust the WHO, maybe some other place, because what happened in COVID, a lot of stuff that I looked up and did research, I'm disappointed. So, and that's where I stand right now.
Can I answer? I understand exactly what you're saying about the trust in that. But to go back to what Joe was saying, not that study. Just think of how medically advanced we've come in detection of, say, brain cancer and childhood cancer. And if you take the correlation and go all the way back to 2000, 2002 and say, let's look at childhood cancer and detection, and let's look at cell phone use. Cell phone use goes off the chart, right? That childhood cancer rate has stayed the same, and actually brain cancer has actually gone down over that time. So what it's showing is, as more of these devices came out, if there was a direct link and a direct correlation, they should have followed that same pattern up.
So we're starting at 5G right now.
Mhm.
So when did 5G start?
Well, 5G frequencies, so 5G is a marketing term. So 5G, it comes into the frequencies. And the 2.5 frequency that T-Mobile uses was started with a company called Clearwire in 2008. So 2.5 is one of the 5G bands, and that's been around since, like I said, Clearwire. Like 2008 was a nationwide deployment. It was eventually acquired into Sprint, and then T-Mobile acquired them. So that's been around. Those antennas, the frequencies have been around. The other 5G frequency is an upper like 3.4 to 3.6 band. And that's what AT&T and Verizon are deploying. And those started deploying in about 2019. Again, if we look at the facts, there still hasn't been an upward tick over those past 5 years. Now,
So you said 2019?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
yeah. So right
So
before,
what's your plan on the 6G when that comes out?
we don't know that. I mean, 6G is theoretics right now. So now they're just starting to say, hey, we're gonna today or 2 days ago it was announced, I think T-Mobile is doing a testing in Bellevue, Washington. They're doing it in a 6 gigahertz band. So that's 2 times up of where Verizon's on the 3.4. So what they do is they'll go through, they'll test that frequency and say, how are we gonna deploy? So they're working with a company called Ericsson. But, you know, if you go all the way back, you had the first generation cell phones with, you know, you have those giant bags, right? Where the radiation off of the phone was greater than the actual radiation that's deployed from the tower site. And that still technically is a fact today. The radiation from the cell site is not as great as from your cell phone.
So there's no lawsuits either if something happens to a child with 5G or a tower next to the school?
No. I mean, there has been stuff in
Because in
California.
1996, the lawsuits, you can't sue or nothing like that.
Well, it's the Telecommunication Act of 1996.
Yeah.
That is correct, because the FCC deemed it as healthy then.
Well, Motorola was out then, and there was a lot of lawsuits being
Right.
created, and then they, yeah. So
So by
now
the
we
way,
can't.
if you look at California, there's stuff where they've made people take down towers that are by schools. And we haven't seen that to any of our sites, and haven't seen an uptick in any of the rates of cancer. or
That can be a bad example. Water is cancerous in California, so.
Yeah, like I said, it's great. I mean, the whole overall, your presentation was fabulous, but just the health of the kids with the frequencies close to the school. Yeah,
Good question.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd fall back on is too, is this is an opportunity for revenue for the school. And whether the school moves forward or not, eventually, those sites are going to be deployed, just like there's a site 0.9 miles away.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 1.5 for like 35 years for revenue. I mean, is that worth a child's health? For me, it's just, I think money means nothing to me with that. That's just my opinion, guys. This is me.
Okay.
Do you
Any
have
other
any more,
questions?
do you have any more information on the impacts of the radiation?
Yeah, I mean, I have something, we put up 6 different health organizations, and I have like a 2-pager that has just like a couple cents quote from each of like the studies those organizations have. So not just the World Health Organization, but
Yeah, I think we would want more information for sure.
yeah, we have that.
Did you look at any of our property that does not have a school campus on it?
No, we didn't, I don't think anyone provided those sites, but we can look at that. We just got this off of the web, like we found your location, so if you want to provide any additional locations, we can take a look at those, and if those are further from the school properties, maybe they're better options for the marketing agreement, if you choose to, yeah.
We have acreage somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've not seen a map in a long time, but there's acres in
Yeah.
here somewhere.
We have
Where-
acreage. Lots of fun. Yeah, I mean, we have soccer fields, sewage plants, I mean, we have acreage for sure.
If you have any property zones, we're happy to look at it. We can present those slides to you.
Very good.
Everybody?
Any other
Okay,
questions?
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
We
much.
appreciate it.
We'll follow up the information, and if you want to just, somebody on your team wants to email me the additional property information, I'll make sure. Okay. Thank you so much. We
Thank you,
appreciate
thank you,
your time.
thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A safe trip back. Student representatives, one of these times I'm gonna put you like C, instead of A, so.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Ella Morant, your student representative for Cambridge Springs. The Cambridge Springs residents and community are what make the school so special. The community attends all of our games, wishes us luck, and helps raise money for school events such as Bag 3 Ton, a fundraiser and food drive that the school does to help impoverished families in Cambridge Springs area. The community does much for us, and to give back, yearly, the whole school goes out and does work and service to help them and improve the town. This event is called Cambridge Cares. One of the most special parts of the day is that for the last 30 minutes, the school all sits on the front lawn and eats ice cream and hangs out. It truly connects the students. This year, the juniors will not be participating. The same class that, while still sophomores, without licenses or real jobs, won the competition part of Bag 3 Ton, getting the most food for those in need. Clearly, this class cares about service. How bad do you think this makes the school and the board look? Cambridge cares, yet do they? Not all of the students will even be helping the community. Field Day is a yearly incentive at the elementary school where students get a day of friendly competitions, games, and popsicles. High school students run the games and look forward to a day in the sun with cute little kids. The junior class, who make up many of these helpers, will not be attending this year. Teachers claim that the class of 2027 is one of the best behaved and motivated, yet somehow they always get the short end of the stick. Another example of this is our lockers. Although the second oldest, we have the smallest lockers in the building. What happened to seniority? The reason the junior class will be missing all of these activities, which they look forward to every single year, is because Business Week was moved from the last week in February to the second week in May. This supposedly fun activity is taking away other activities, acting as a punishment instead of an incentive to the students. Furthermore, Business Week will be combined with Maplewood and Sagertown this year. This will make the groups bigger. Instead of having about 6 kids in your group, there will be about 20. This makes it less hands-on because there are more kids for one job, meaning you participate less. This will also decrease students' abilities to get bigger roles within their group, like CEO and CFO. One thing that makes Business Week fun is that you know your competition since you grew up together. You know that a student on another team is very artistic, so you might want to try to challenge them by beating them on other competitions. Well, that being said, once combined, it takes the personal aspect and friendly competition away, as you don't know the students who you're competing with. Continually, with about 100 extra kids in the school, there will be a need for an additional lunch, causing extra stress onto the lunch ladies. And what time will that extra lunch be? 10 a.m., maybe 1 p.m. Both seem to be extreme times, which are either too late or too early, causing students to be hungry for part of the day. Not to mention costs. Having at least 4 buses coming to Cambridge and back every day for a week is not ideal, when you have to pay for gas as well as the driver's time. Which it seems you guys have already run into this, as there are ads for parents to pay $30 in order to get their name on a paper bus that'll be hung in the school. I struggle to see the pros in this situation. Sadly, it's too late for my class, yet I hope this convinces you to think next year before combining Business Week as well as picking the date. Now for your monthly update. Spring sports are just starting up now, so there's not many updates with that. Some leadership students will be driving to town looking for sponsors for Prom Till Dawn on Thursday. Key Club is tying dogs on Friday after school, which will be going to shelters. Hayden Taylor, Briley Miller Glenn, and I will be headed to States on Sunday, so wish us luck and thank you for your support. The elementary school will be preparing for their PTO bingo night on the 21st. Also, the St. Patrick's edition of the Pitchfork will be coming out on Friday. It will be featuring our mystery teacher Leprechaun, which is students have been making guesses based on daily clues about that teacher. For more news and update, please see Cambridge Freaks. Thank you.
Maggie Means from Maplewood. Someone from Maplewood.
Do we have
Here.
someone from Maplewood?
Yeah, but I'm from Maplewood.
Oh, you gonna?
Okay.
But I'm different than Maggie's. Here for Maggie's.
You're not here for that, okay.
Okay.
Oh, you wanna talk?
Are you here for
She's on
comment
there
or
too.
student?
She's on there too. So
address?
she's there for comment too, yeah. Comment.
Okay.
Comment.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Then,
She's not sure if she's here for comment or something else. It's similar to the previous one.
oh, then it would be, yeah, then you're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you
absolutely.
gonna share what's going on in Maplewood, or do you have a concern to bring?
No, like I have both.
Okay,
Do you want me to?
do you wanna
do
bring her
that?
up now?
Not really sure.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, come on, yeah.
Yeah,
If you're
absolutely.
ready,
Absolutely.
hit it.
Okay, so
Thank you.
good evening. I'm Cecile Preston, and I'm a junior at Maplewood. I would like to bring up a few concerns about Business Week. First, we have a band concert that week, and second, the Friday of Business Week is our elementary school field day. Both concert band and field day have been planned by looking at the calendar to ensure there is no conflict with other events. The current schedule will cause two of us to miss our concert practices, and all juniors will miss field day. Business Week has never been a problem before because it was never in May, and this year the date was set after other events were scheduled. I would like to share why these events are important to us and some ideas on how to address the conflicts. The band concert is on Wednesday of Business Week, and the juniors, there's two of us, one who is a lead drummer and one who is a lead trumpet, will not be in class to practice ahead of the concert, making it difficult to go through the songs to make sure that there's nothing that needs to be changed or looked over again. For field day, we recognize the importance of Business Week, but we juniors have waited our whole lives to go and help the younger kids at the elementary school field day. I would like you to consider if you could agree to the following. Allow the juniors who are in concert band to participate in practice. It's first period, so we are requesting you allow us to drive ourselves to Business Week with parent permission after our first period practice on Monday and Tuesday. Consider ending Business Week one day early, so on Thursday, so the juniors can attend their field day. And help coordinate the plan next year earlier so the other groups can try to schedule their calendar around the week of Business Week. Thank you for your time and consideration.
I'll come back to Business Week here after. I'm gonna let Sagertown, I think Levi and Tyler.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna ask anyway. so-
I've got a lot of questions, so.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to see you all. I'm Tyler Smith. I'm a sophomore from Sagertown High School, and here's the monthly update of our school. To start with, we'll start with our club operations. That takes us to National Honor Society. Read Across America. Volunteers read to elementary schools grades a variety of Dr. Seuss books. Next, our Math and Science Club. Planning the Pi Day activity that will take place this Thursday for kids excelling in their math and science classes. Key Club. Our Key Club recently added 11 new members on Thursday, February 26th. Student Council. Blood Drive was very successful, taking place on Thursday, February 26th, where we had the most amount of participation in many years. Student Council. Wrestling States. 3 athletes competed in PIAA state wrestling tournaments. For the boys, Mylan Harrison competed and unfortunately lost in the blood round. For the girls, Leah Sample and Kaylee Stamping Williams Leah placed third place, while Kaylee unfortunately did not place.
And I'm Levi Gardner. The boys basketball team competed in states against Swickley Academy and put up a great fight against a private school, but they did not win. They ended the regular season of a record with 21-5. Our music program welcomed a new teacher, Mrs. Heck. Office standpoint, we had another set of 200 board winners who won a variety of prizes for outstanding outstanding participation inside and outside the classroom. 4 students went to Embro for the Educators Rising Conference, where they explored careers in education at the college. Students finally took the ASVABs after multiple delays of Mother Nature's. Students that were involved in the manufacturing academics finished their last round of tours.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Business Week, thank you guys for coming, sharing that. This is naturally done at the building level. So tomorrow morning, we have a meeting with the principals. And so this is now on the agenda. That's what I whispered over to Mrs. Feely, to take a look at that.
I do know that it was,
Okay,
it was a request from the organizers of Business Week to combine the 3 high schools because of the dwindling numbers in the 3 junior classes. They were having a difficult time getting people to work with our 3 high schools, and they requested that we combine the 3 schools into 1 week. And they gave 3 dates, and the May date was what was selected by the 3 principals because it needed to be after testing, and the other dates were before testing. And the February date was not available as a date. So I know that much. Is beyond that, we can talk about some accommodations for band. I think we can work around first period. That shouldn't be an issue. And field day, the chance of field day getting rescheduled anyway due to weather is high probability anyway, but we can talk about that. And Cambridge Cares, again, that was a date selected by the principals, but we will definitely talk about that tomorrow at our administrative meeting.
Yeah, I asked elementary school, the principal, field day is a big deal. And as noted to the juniors.
Right.
I noted those 3, Cambridge Cares, Business Week, field day, those are highlights.
They're big deals, yes.
And so I agree, I think field day is easily movable if that has to be.
Many times it's moved anyway because of the weather, so.
Yeah, regardless if it isn't the weather, I just think we need to move it so that we don't have the conflict of not being able to attend, band, whatever it is, because it sounds like it was scheduled on the worst week possible.
And I'm sure the elementary didn't know that the high school had scheduled Business Week that week because the high school.
Who's gonna help if it's not juniors?
Well, actually, a lot of grade levels help with field day, not just the juniors, but most of the juniors do also help. So.
I know that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So we've done Business Week prior to testing before. It was
February usually.
February has been our date, and that was available, yes.
And so now.
And then they didn't want to, they had given, I think, March and April as other dates that were available, but that's right in the part of getting ready for testing, so.
So it's either gotta be before, like way before or after?
Correct, and they went with the May date because it's after testing.
And May is usually, May is slim pickings as it is, there's gonna be field trips, there's gonna be sporting events, there's gonna be people getting dismissed for games. May is insane as it is, I'd imagine.
Yes.
I'm just thankful we as a board did not vote to change.
You did not.
Yeah, when I heard all this, I'm like, we didn't do that, did we?
But to the point, this is a valuable experience.
Yes, and I do appreciate, and I always listen to everything you guys say.
Yeah.
So, because
On the agenda.
frankly, I just found out about this morning, and I already talked to the principal about making accommodations for the music, because that's what came to me this morning. After I found out that you were speaking, I did a little research. So, all right? So thank you, guys, I appreciate it. Next up is our PAEA rep, Debbie Miller.
Tell the doctor, are you supposed to have that crutch?
Since when?
I'm getting there. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Ford, Assistant Superintendent Mrs. Feely, PENNCREST students, families, teachers, administrators, and community members. Again, my name is Debbie Miller, and I'm here tonight representing the PENNCREST Education Association. We are the educators who see your policies in action every single day. Tonight I'm here to talk about the single most impactful variable within this board's control regarding student success. And I bet you can guess what I'm going to say: class size. As we look toward next school year, we cannot afford to wait until August to see where the numbers land. Effective education is not a crapshoot. It requires deliberate, early planning to ensure that every student is seen and no educator reaches that breaking point that I've spoken to you of many times. Why class size matters now more than ever? The research is overwhelming. Smaller class sizes, ideally fewer than 20 in early grades and capped at 25 in secondary, are not just a luxury. They are a necessity for the following reasons. First, individualized instruction. In smaller classes, teachers spend 25 to 38% more time on individualized instruction. We can identify learning gaps early and provide the targeted support that prevents students from falling through the cracks. Second, behavior and safety. Smaller groups naturally lead to fewer discipline problems and improved classroom management. When a teacher isn't managing a crowd, they are mentoring their students. Finally, mental health and engagement. Since the pandemic, students' needs have grown more complex. Smaller classes foster the strong student-teacher relationships that are critical for social emotional well-being and academic confidence. We are calling for a proactive plan. We're asking this board to prioritize adequacy in next year's budget now. Waiting until summer to hire staff or adjust things leads to overcrowded classrooms and shattered schedules. Large class sizes are unsustainable for our staff and unacceptable for our students. When classes exceed critical thresholds, research suggests 27 students is a tipping point for unpredictability in readiness, learning outcomes suffer, and teacher burnout rises. What's our proposal? Well, here it comes. First of all, we urge the board to do the following. Commit to hard caps on class size across all grade levels for the next school year. And do not start at the cap at the beginning of the year. Make sure there is room for move-ins, because they always happen. Since we are talking about caps, let's look at our caps. They are caps that no one seems to know where they came from. I've been questioning these for 4 years straight. PENNCREST has a cap the classroom size slide that often comes up in the budget season. And it says kindergarten 20, grades 1 through 3, 26, 4 through 6 at 29. What's the truth? The National Institute of Health said the ideal range is 15 to 18 students. Many researchers agree that a class size of no more than 18 students is required to produce significant academic bumps. The critical threshold, I mentioned it before, 27. A 2024 study of over 21,000 schools, not just a couple, 21,000, identified 27 students as the tipping point. Long-term impact, K1 through 3 focus, benefits are the most pronounced when small class sizes are maintained longitudinally from kindergarten through 3rd grade. Students in these smaller cohorts are more likely to graduate on time and attend post-secondary training. Need more proof? We're always looking for what to do about our achievement scores. The academic advantages include higher test scores. Studies consistently show improved performances on standardized assessments across subjects. Stronger literacy development. Students demonstrate better reading comprehension, vocabulary acquisition, and writing skills. The big one that PENNCREST is always talking about lately, enhanced mathematical reasoning. That's the problem, guys. Our kids can do math, they just can't do you guys would call it Common Core, the critical thinking. They can't look at a situation and figure out what steps of math to apply. And in a smaller class, you can get to that thinking, get to that individual comfort with kids. Deeper conceptual understanding. Teachers can verify comprehension rather than just content coverage. And the biggest one that I think our kids have got to have to be successful in life, critical thinking. More classroom discussion fosters analytical skills. And if this didn't convince you, this study showed that they moved from the 50th percentile to the 58th. That's 2 standard deviations if you're a statistics geek, just by lowering the number of students in the room. Second thing I'm asking you to do, or we are, authorize early hiring to secure high-quality candidates during the current teacher shortage. Please don't wait. The neighboring districts are not. I have already heard of interviews in other schools. Let's not be caught scrambling in August when few applicants remain. Our third ask of you, include educator voices in the enrollment projection process to ensure classroom realities match the data on your screens. In PENNCREST, we proudly offer the least restrictive environment to students with many challenges. Let's also proudly make room for those who might need specialized attention. How, you might ask? Demand a signing off of the class list by the educators at those levels. They can tell you if the numbers will or will not work for next year. I'm serious. At next month's budget proposals and the projected class sizes, ask, were these checked by the teachers? And do they feel like this is doable? Like I said, we are your boots on the ground, and we know what is or is not feasible. Investment in smaller classes isn't an investment just in our schools, it's an investment in our community. Let's give our students the environment they deserve by planning for it today. Thank you.
Got a couple updates, one discussion item. Policy 201 was pulled tonight. That is the kindergarten testing. We just want to bring it back in April for the second reading because we are working out how that's going to look. And so we're looking possibly at an outside entity due to some research that we've seen about not doing it. So we need another month. We've had first reading. I asked Jordan, he said we can absolutely. So, because I know certain families are waiting for that, but we can still make sure it's done if we approve in April. Okay, so just wanted to. Second is the school calendar is there for your review. We were able to add a 4th snow day. Okay, and although that's going to be in the next discussion also. So, so we took the input. We had trouble getting 5 to get done by June 11th. So we're going to start late next year. I think the first day is not till September 2nd for students, and then the last day in graduation will be Friday, June 11th. So just because of the fair and of the holiday, so that's the way it's fallen this year. So that leads into this discussion. Crawford Central and Conneaut have both now gone to remote learning days. And so Conneaut already had it, and then Crawford Central recent passed. So then what happens is the Crawford Tech always goes with 2 out of the 3. So now they will be doing that. So it's really forced this discussion here at our board now about looking at remote learning days instead of the actual snow days. Okay, and so there's I think there's good and bad to that. I think there are some positives, but there also is some challenges. So it reduces the need for the makeup days, which is nice. Like this year, we basically have 1 day for the holiday at Easter for the students, and so when you use your snow days, and thank goodness we've only used our allotted so far. Now we've had a lot of 2-hour delays, so it reduces that. It aligns. Probably the number one reason I'm bringing it here is because it aligns with the neighboring districts, and so. So I am bringing it here. It supports our CTC students as a result of that. And then teachers would, can provide their flexibility. I don't believe we can expect our students to utilize devices to learn on those days because of what we heard and saw in the map out there. So we would have to utilize some sort of packets, and I'm not a big fan of the beginning of the year you give a packet because that might not be relevant to the learning. So I think that would have to be worked on more from a monthly basis so it's more relevant and the kids are prepared for that. Naturally, if we know that there's going to be a blizzard or something like that, we can absolutely pre-plan that. So the downsides to it is, technology I just mentioned, but I think we can overcome that. Remote instruction is not the same as having our students in the classroom. It's just not. Part of what makes teachers teachers, in my opinion, is the relationship with the kids and that teacher. Technology can do a lot of things, but it can't emulate what teachers do for kids on a daily basis. And I'm very aware of that. Staff preparation, I mentioned that. And then I put this one down, preserving the snow day. I don't know about you, but I remember having snow days as a kid, right? And I remember that was a fun day. So as you can tell, I'm mixed on it. I think in some ways we're probably going to have to do it because the other two districts, so that's why I'm going to recommend it. We're a team in Crawford County. We try to stay together to the maximum extent possible. We've had some 2-hour delays when they haven't. We canceled school when they haven't. I'm not going to put kids at risk either. But I wanted to have a discussion with you. This is a discussion item. It's not a voting item tonight. It's a discussion item tonight.
Yeah, I don't, in my opinion, I don't like it. I understand that the other people are doing it, but they live in the city. Every kid can get on their device and actually do something, whatever. We have that part that we can't. Some can, some can't.
Well, I mean, we're talking Conyoutville too, and Hawkerton, like not necessarily
They all can't. They all can't.
What are they? What are they requiring? Like, what are the other schools requiring? A packet, or are they doing?
Crawford Central is working on that now because the board just passed it, and that's what we would do. I haven't started getting educators together, and Mrs. Feely, Mrs. Henry would get teachers, and they would work on that. Because if the board's not interested in doing that, I said there's no sense of moving forward. Hence why discussion tonight.
I think people can say they're doing remote study, but it'll just be a snow day anyway.
Right, exactly.
I don't.
Well,
for a
what did
second that
COVID
people are
teach
gonna
us
be-
about remote learning? Did we learn anything from COVID and remote learning?
Well, the thing is, with the snow day, though, you're talking a day, maybe two, about a year.
Yeah, not.
So,
How many days did we use this year?
3.
Do we have an obligation for feeding families, students on these days?
Even on 2-hour delays, we don't do
We don't do
breakfast
breakfast.
on 2-hour delays.
I just think there's, I don't know off the top of my head, but there's a percentage of students, the only reason they get fed is because they're in a
Yeah,
building.
that's a fact.
well, I tell you, I think, I know the days that we had off this year, I think 2-hour delays, we could have got mostly kids to school. There was one, I think, that was a good call, but the others by mid-morning, I think you and I even mentioned maybe a 3-hour delay on them. And letting the bus drivers just say, hey, we're not going down that road, or.
This is what we
we're
did
not-
last week.
Right.
We had a lot of
We're
roads.
not gonna pick those
Right.
kids up because it's not safe. And letting the bus drivers make that determination and just letting the parents know, hey, it doesn't go against your kid. And, I mean, remote learning is the easy way out.
But
I
who
agree with
notifies the parents if the buses aren't coming? Because I know there was a parent that wasn't notified.
Well, a lot of that though, the bus driver said.
Yeah, it's
we're not
happening on the fly.
Yeah.
So that's part of the
Yeah.
problem.
The parents are waiting by the road, like waiting for the bus up there.
Yeah. That's the hard part, because the bus drivers are out and driving, and if they deem it okay, they're gonna go down that road. Now, part of the technology that we have out there, we're testing it out there where they can see the bus, you know, they can see where the bus is at, and we have that technology we're piloting, and,
But only what, like 50 or 60% of the population?
Yeah, we don't have a high subscription rate, sign-up rate on that.
Really?
We're pushing out some more communication.
You've got a 100% complaint rate.
yeah.
That's for sure.
No, we brought up bus tracking, I think at least 3 or 4 meetings of bus
Oh, yeah,
tracking.
and everybody
I
was
think we only have about 30%
complaining.
participation on the bus routes that we have those on right now. I mean, I can get that number for you, but we're pushing out more communication to try and get more people signed up, but it's quite below the sign-up rate.
Is it because it's?
We've had one
Signal?
family say they don't have any money to get cell phones or have any connectivity, and we've just not had a lot of feedback.
We have pushed it out, the
Yeah.
buildings have pushed it out, we pushed it out, we pushed it out a lot.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think Tony's even doing another.
Yeah, she's working on more communication.
So I get a phone call every time there's a bus breaking down?
Yes.
So I'm probably subscribed to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have 38% of
38,
participation. We have
that-
140 families out of 372 that are utilizing the software.
And there's not that many families without cell phone.
No, we've only had one call that
Okay,
said that.
I was gonna say, there ain't that many.
Yeah, we've kind of been monitoring this because we're trying to make a decision for next year for all the
To
schools.
expand it, yeah.
And so,
Now, we talked about, as far as busing for next year, is getting parents to commit to they're using the buses or they're not. Because that's something we've talked
We
about.
did that this year.
we did that this year.
Okay, that's working
We sent
out.
out, yes, absolutely. Yeah, we sent out a letter and asked them to kind of declare, if you will, so that we could better manage the routes and put the
Right.
right students.
Exactly.
You know,
So
if we
not
did,
running
if we
around.
could eliminate a bus doing
Yeah.
that, then we'd do it, knowing that they can choose to come back on.
Right.
But I don't believe we have had any,
We have had a few. The only issue is we cannot, if they say that they're not gonna be riding every day, we still have to have that available if they
Right.
choose to change their mind,
Right.
if the family situation changes. So we can't necessarily eliminate the route and consolidate, because we have to have that ability to be able to put those students back on the bus.
Right, but I'm just saying, for the days, if we have a 2-hour delay, there's not as many kids.
Correct.
The parents that are bringing the kids in can still bring the kids in.
Absolutely.
Is what I'm getting at.
yeah, absolutely.
So,
I went the long way around about that, but I was getting there.
And what we've put out is, if they bring the kids in, we tell them they have to pick them up that day. The one day that it got nice, last week, we put out a message to the parents and said we were gonna be able to take them home in the afternoon. But for the most part, they know if they bring them, they have to pick them up that day. That's what I'm thinking, if we could somehow, if the bus drivers could get on the radio, communicate that out, there would still be a little bit of a lag, but we could probably push it out then, you know what I mean? I'm thinking it would be a 5 to 10 minutes, so, what's that?
Or if there's a spot that can safely meet the bus.
Right.
Like a township building or something.
Right.
I don't know if it's possible to communicate that, but.
Right, that's the other issue, so.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Since my kids have been graduated for like 30 years, all right, the remote learning, is the remote learning on the honor system, or are you expecting parents to call off work that day? How does it work? I'm just curious.
Well, there's two sides to that. Number one, you've got your teacher side to that, and the principals have to make sure that that's being done at the teacher level, whether at the high school level. I do believe you can do more online, and you can have classes, as Randy just stated, he used to do during COVID. He would have his kids come in and they would do different projects, and you can do that. Elementary makes it much more difficult. And that's what I'm sharing. So upper level, it's easier to take attendance. At the lower level, it's not. Now, saying that, I required it, and I would want that to be done. And during COVID, it's bringing up a little PTSD right now, but I required it even if our teachers had to call home and ask if they were online or they needed any help. And the teachers should be doing that day. So there would be a level that I believe that could happen. Is it gonna be perfect? No. Just being honest.
I'll say virtual learning looks a lot different for secondary students. And I think there is a route that we could navigate if we need to provide learning opportunities to our secondary students outside the virtual days and snow days in the future. I think it looks a lot different for elementary students. It is, parents need to be there, especially my daughter was in kindergarten during that, and we had to be there. It was a full-time job. And kind of what Fred said over there, I'm thinking a 2-hour delay. I don't know the statistics, but I know from experience, 2-hour delay, attendance is probably not as high as it typically is. We probably have a lot of kids out. But I think on a virtual day, we're gonna have even less. I think we'll have even less student participation. So I think a 2-hour delay is probably a better, we're gonna have students participate more on a 2-hour delay than on a virtual day.
Yeah, my daughter, even I told her about this, and she's like, I'm not gonna, and I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right.
Well, would she rather go till June 15th?
Well, that was another follow-up question was,
If
we have.
use all our snow days, that's where we're gonna be.
The state has changed, it's hours now. And we complete those hours even with the snow days, right? And you may be thinking it's less time, but I'll be honest, a June 15th day, there's no difference between a June 14th and a June 15th day.
Oh, yeah, I don't care. Kids don't.
So-
But we are over our hours, correct?
Yeah.
At both
Yes.
secondary
Oh, yes.
and elementary
Yes.
levels.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And that was my next question. I know we're above our hours. So can we use that to our benefit on the snow days?
So the biggest issue that I see is if we have a bad day, let's say it's icy.
Right.
Now you've got, our CTC kids are the ones that can get hurt the most. Because if they can't make it into the school, then, now that snow day later in the year, they're not gonna be open. So,
But on a virtual day.
but if they're doing a virtual, they can get on there.
There is no,
They could do
Right.
virtual CTC work
That's
on the
right.
virtual
yeah,
days.
unless they're taking it.
And they can do that in our building.
Build a house
Right.
and live here.
Well, we could, yeah.
Yeah, we have
Up
all
in
of this,
asbestos
right?
floor.
Well.
Well, if we take the
Oh,
snow,
okay.
We don't know what it's
if
gonna
we
be.
take the snow day,
I'll say.
Better behaved.
or if we close and they're doing
I see.
virtual, they could do their virtual CTC work.
But there's hardly any virtual.
way.
Mrs. Feely and I have concerns about remote learning, but because the other two districts,
Well, no.
I brought it up for discussion. I wanted to hear what everybody was saying.
And we're discussing
Unless
3
we
days.
computer, how you build
This year we used 3 days.
Yes.
And it was
drafting.
a average winter, we had some bad days, a lot of 2-hour delays, but we're discussing 3 days. To me, it ain't worth 3 days. Just give them the snow day, because that's, like Randy said, you're not gonna have any, especially if the kid's home alone.
Yes.
Right? They ain't gonna show up and mom and dad are at work, they're not gonna be calling, hey Jimmy, you on the computer?
Yeah, I'm on, all right. But
Yeah, he's on the computer, but he's playing
Fortnite or
whatever
something,
those
yeah.
games are.
Even so, it would be, you're suggesting more of like workbook packet.
For the younger
Yeah,
kids,
for the, oh, okay.
for the younger kids.
No, please.
I think you have an answer.
I think I know the answer.
I mean, if you talk to Meadville or you talk to Crawford Central, you talk to other districts, and like, this actually worked great, I'm sure the board would revisit it.
Yeah, if
after.
you-
Let them be the guinea pigs.
If you come back with what they did, like packets or this, that, and they say, okay, our attendance or this was that, and they have details of how it worked, and we can mimic that, I would say, okay, but I don't know.
And when you
Well,
say
do we have to
package,
do it for all of the days, or can we say 3+ we would want? Like, do we have to apply for
So,
a certain number?
so in other words, if we used all 4 next year of our days, then we could, on the 5th day, we could use the virtual learning day.
That's a good suggestion.
That's a lot better idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
That way,
I agree.
you call it a virtual day, even though no one's gonna really participate, but it's not a 6th snow day or a 5th snow
Well,
day.
last year, here's the example I would say to that. Last year, we went over.
Yeah.
So then we used our hours. So we didn't make that day up. So having a virtual day after those days would be better than just using the hour where we didn't make it up.
Yes.
So that would
Correct.
be,
Yeah, that was
you know,
a good idea.
it's actually a good idea. Yes.
I just don't see why we
Good
would
job.
not offer them something if it's going to save us in the long run from going another day
Yeah,
or.
I agree, yeah.
I mean, I understand the safety and I understand like this is for the kids, something the parents are gonna have to participate in, but I mean,
Right.
it could be an hour-long thing, it doesn't have to be 8 hours of instruction, right? I mean, it's not a set.
So you're suggesting if the snow days are used up, so instead of going to hours, we actually have a virtual day as needed, if needed.
I mean, like, yeah, just in November, when they, have a planning day, hey, this is what we would do if we get to that 5th day, or whatever.
Right.
Well, they would do it, they would only create something if we've used our snow days.
Right.
Then that is
Exactly.
all
So you
hands on
want
deck.
to
Right.
have-
I mean, like,
yeah.
we knew, I thought for sure we'd use the 4th day this year, and thus far we have.
Well-
We got a little snow coming.
We're good, we're good.
We have a little snow
You
coming.
haven't been up here that long.
Huh?
You haven't been up here that long. We still have trout season, St. Patty's Day, Easter.
St. Patty's is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I've ridden snow.
Yeah, that was my own fault. I
Okay,
probably
there you
just
go.
jinxed it, so that's.
Put 200 miles on.
I've been fishing in the snow.
Yeah, I put 200 miles on.
All right.
Go ahead, Patty.
Okay, I have a couple discussion items as well I wanted to bring forward. The first one, again, this is for discussion, our 6 through 12 ELA curriculum resource SAVIS is up for renewal. It was purchased with ESSER funds back, oh gosh, 2021, I believe. And it's up for renewal. So we got some quotes, we talked with teachers, Mrs. Henry went out and met with all of the teachers at the 3 attendance areas to see how they were feeling about SAVIS. We collected quotes, whether we needed to look at another resource. And it was across the board, they wanted to stay with SAVIS. Our data's pretty good with SAVIS. SAVIS is on the recommended resource list for structured literacy. So we are ready to move forward. We wanted to put it in the hands of our middle school teachers before the end of the year. So what you're seeing is we're breaking it up over 2 budget seasons. So grades 6 through 8, we would bring back to you next month so that it can be in the hands of those middle school teachers before the end of the school year. And then July 1, we would bring you 7 through 12. Splits it over 2 budget seasons. And we were bringing you the 6-year agreement because it saves us, it was about over $100,000 to do a 6-year agreement than if we just did a 3-year, which we typically would do. So just wanted to put that on your radar for this month and then bring it back for a vote next month.
So I had a really good conversation with you and Mrs. Henry, I think it may have been a year ago, regarding literacy. And the way it was described, and forgive me if I'm not getting it correctly, was the Lucy Calkins material that's now being outlawed. We still had, even though we were not using the methodology, we unfortunately had those resources. And you explained that the science reading structure, I call it science of reading, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the same.
Science
It's
of
the
reading
same.
is more on the pedagogy and the methodology regardless of
Correct.
the resources. So this would begin to replace those outdated.
Sure, well, this is starting in this would be the 6 through 12. We're not in the literacy cycle yet. This is off cycle for literacy renewal because of using ESSER funds to purchase it.
Got it.
So 2 more years, so in 27, 28, we would then do the K-5.
Okay, so beginning the process of
Correct.
replacing those materials that are
Yes.
now illegal in some states.
In 27, 28, yes, we have to be on the approved list, and
Yes.
SAVIS is on the approved list.
Okay.
Right.
That was good.
Yes.
Can I
And
ask
it's-
what the evidence is that this is a good program? Because our scores don't really reflect that, do they?
So our scores are pretty good. I mean, are they stellar? No. But they're showing progress. And there's about 6 resources in the grade band that Pennsylvania has identified as acceptable in the state of Pennsylvania. SAVIS has one of the higher rating of the 6 that are on there in the 6 through 12 grade band. They've used a variety of vetting sources for that. So I know-
Well, I guess we can talk about this more when we get into the comprehensive report, but our statistics really don't bear out that this is a great program. Right?
Well,
Compared to where they were, curriculum,
yeah.
if you look at curriculum ratings, they do rate curriculums, they're out there.
I'm talking about our schools.
Personal schools.
I'm talking, you ask if,
curriculum.
right, the correct curriculum rating, that's what it's called, curriculum
No,
rating.
I don't care about the curriculum rating, I care about our scores.
Right.
And our scores don't reflect that this is a great program.
So our scores, I think what you're seeing is a reflection of us making that transition. So we've worked on training in the science of reading. Our assessment has been adjusted to that methodology. So we've been working in the last 2 years on getting that training with our staff, some of that coaching with our staff. So ideally, you know, those scores will go up. The resource is the resource. The educational instructional practice goes with that. So it's not all about what's in the curriculum and the resource, it's that whole package. So we're looking at, we've added phonics in the lower levels, we are looking at how we're doing our instructional practice in our other grade levels as well, and bridging that as we're moving up, so the writing component as well. So we're tackling some of those pieces. I don't think it's purely about the curriculum in any way, shape, or form. I think it's looking at our instructional practice, vetting the resource that we're using, taking a look at our students' performance and where those shortcomings are, and then explicitly teaching where that is and seeing progress. We're putting all of those pieces together right now. And it takes 3 to 5 years for that progress and growth.
In the ELA, we are seeing growth, for sure. I mean, ELA is much better than math, especially at the 6 through 8, so it is better.
Well, we can look at the numbers when we do the comprehensive report. I'm not seeing this great growth, so I don't know where you're getting that from. And if you compare, go back 10 years, I mean, where's this growth?
Growth data is in PBOS.
In PBOS.
There's longitudinal data to show growth over years with our PBOS data.
And when you say it takes 5 to, you
3
can
to
teach a
5.
kid
3
to
to
read in
5.
2 years. I mean, you know, we homeschooled our kids, they were reading at 3 and 4.
Yeah, but you were teaching a couple kids, you're not
But
teaching
I'm
a classroom.
baffled by why.
You're not
we-
teaching a classroom though.
I'm baffled by.
You're not teaching a classroom.
I
You're
heard you
comparing
three
two
times.
different things.
I'm baffled by why we're struggling this hard to get our kids to be able to read.
Well, if I had that answer, I would be a very wealthy woman.
Well, I wonder if it has something to do with curriculum, that's why I'm asking.
Well, and I think we're looking at all those pieces. That's a fair question. And I do think that's something we look at when we look at our data trends. You know, are we missing something in our curriculum? Is there a component that's missing? What is our data telling us? And we're going back through our data team meetings and trying to zero in on that and fill those gaps. Well, those are the resources we bring back to you for and ask for permission to supplement what we have in our series, because we're seeing holes and gaps. We've done that, we've filled that with phonics, most recently, decodable text at the lower levels, interventions that.
Our philosophy of reading at the lower levels is changing, okay? And it's going to the science of reading, which we need to do, all right? We spent a lot of money a couple years ago. Unfortunately, we need to wait because of cost. But what we've done is we've supplemented different things at the lower level. So I believe that our reading will get stronger, but that's been implemented in the last couple of years, the science of reading, probably most even this year, because we talked about it when I first came here. So that's what she's saying in that time period. So the kids that are already in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they did not have the full science of reading. And I think that's an important point to make. And so we're doing a lot of good things that I know that work because I've done it. Aaron's going to go over some math data here tonight and what we're doing. And so just because it might not be reflected in that comprehensive plan, I think you'll see what we're doing, and we're using a lot of high-impact strategies. And I believe I don't believe, we are headed in the right direction, except in 2 areas that we need to, and we're going to blow it up, because it's not working. So,
Is that my cue?
yeah, you can go right ahead. So-
Wait, I didn't, oh yeah, that is, you are my second item.
Does everybody know Aaron?
Yeah, we should.
Hi,
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Erin Fonzo. I'm at Sagertown Elementary as the principal, and then also help with district assessments now that I'm next door to central office. So thanks for having me this evening. Patty had asked me after last month's board meeting, there was some math data questions, so I dug into the data and just did a brief achievement data presentation from spring of 2025. So our PSSAs, our Keystone exams at the high school, again, spring 2025. So by the time we get this data, dig into it, we're getting ready for this year's testing season. But tonight, and Kristen, are you working the presentation?
I am.
You are, Patty? Okay. If you want to scroll through 2 more. Yep, okay. Okay, so tonight's data is just going to refer to PSSAs and Keystone's achievement. So a student snapshot at a moment in time, and again, I don't think I have to say it, but it's one data point for a kid. So there's a lot more that goes into that. There's a lot of other assessments we give, but this is the state testing data that we give every year, and it's one snapshot of how a kid did on their standardized testing. So 3rd grade last spring, over 54% were proficient or advanced on the math PSSA. 4th grade, almost.
Hey, Aaron, why don't you go ahead and tell them what the 4 areas are? Advanced, proficient.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So advanced is the best you can score. Proficient is you've met the state standards. You have a good grasp of the standards at your grade level in regards to math. Then there's basic, where you're getting there, you're almost to that level, and then there's below basic, where you're behind grade level standards. So these numbers are reflective of our kids that are proficient or advanced on the math PSSA. So 54%, a little over that in 3rd grade, almost 50% in 4th grade last spring, almost 42% in 5th grade, 43% in 6th grade last spring, 7th grade 26%, and then 8th grade 23%. So again, PSSA math spring 2025. In comparison to the state, we are, thanks Patty. PENNCREST is the dark burgundy. The state is a little bit lighter, to compare how our students as a district did in comparison to the state. So as you can see, while the scores may not look stellar, we are comparative to the state, where the state is scoring overall. So 3rd grade, 4th grade, as you can see in 6th grade, our 6th grade students last year actually outperformed the state average. And then there's 7th and 8th grade. But those numbers are also comparative of the state as an average, all the students that took the PSSA last year, and those kids across the state that scored advanced or proficient are up there comparison to how our kids did. So in a lot of areas we're kind of where the state scored overall, or like in 6th grade, we actually scored better than the state average.
You have a question?
Can I don't want to interrupt, but
No, go ahead.
in your opinion, 8th grade, across the state, those kids 5 years ago were in 3rd grade during COVID, correct?
Yes.
We're at 5 years of COVID, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that had a huge play in why 8th graders now are there. Do you agree with me?
We're, yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we're gonna be paying
I
the
seen
consequences
that,
of
I wanted to
COVID
make
for
sure
a
I
long
was
time.
seeing the same thing, and, because, okay.
That
Yeah,
cohort.
Aaron and I were talking this morning, because the line goes like this
Yeah,
Right.
for everything.
And I think COVID really screwed us.
Right.
And I think we'll see a change once those 3rd graders are now 8th grade, then everybody behind them is no longer, we gotta get COVID out of schools. The kids from COVID gotta be out, and I think we'll see a change.
Well, that's.
Well, I don't know why you said that.
Once they graduate,
Make sure he clarifies that.
they may have come out wrong, and I'm not a great speaker, but once they graduate, I think we'll
Compass
see,
will
just like how you got to your point.
You're right, that cohort
I got
of
nothing
students
for
that
you
you're
now.
referring to, the discrepancy is even wider when you start looking at socioeconomic status of districts.
Yeah.
Yes.
I ask this every data presentation, you probably know it's coming. I hate state comparisons. Can you compare PENNCREST to similar districts of socioeconomic status?
Oh, I should have done that.
Can you
I
pull
can,
district,
yes.
there's 500, you are comparing it to very affluent districts
Right.
that perform very well, affluency in the district. And when you have an affluent district, they did better during COVID. They have more parent involvement, they had parents at home, they had better technology. And so that cohort you're referring to, the gap was even wider. But if you compare PENNCREST to similar socioeconomic, even to the county, well, I know where we'll stand in the county.
Yeah, I think last year I pulled like the 10 closest surrounding districts,
Yeah.
like even like Oil City, Titusville, Franklin, and kind of put that in a graph. So
And
yeah,
I think
can
because we're
actually do
looking, you know, then you're comparing apples to apples to
Right.
me. So I just ask for that every data presentation, I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna have to, I knew, yeah, I should have known
You
it
can
was
send it
coming.
out, I'll get it out to everybody.
Is this just public
Yeah.
schools?
Me.
Well, it is, but also if you do have kids from charter schools that elect to take the state testing, they would be included in this as well.
Okay, because I didn't know if any other schools, like even if they're not, if they were not public, if they do this too, I didn't know.
Cyber schools in this? Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
they're included,
Yes,
okay.
yep.
But what
Most
are
private
these,
schools are not.
what are these sixth graders?
I didn't think so.
When they
No, they
go
aren't.
to college?
What's that?
Like, we need to help these sixth graders, I mean, the seventh and eighth graders, 'cause how are they gonna be ready to go to college?
We're working.
Get their math.
Another, I'll bring it up since we're talking about seventh and eighth. My daughter was in seventh grade last year. She's in eighth grade this year. This is a direct impact of some of our decisions. Attrition has impact. I don't know what Kylene was able to do last year in seventh grade math. They had one teacher for multiple math courses, and she bumped around from teacher to, she had a different teacher every, I know,
They did
about
wing
6
cycles,
weeks, my daughter had a
yes.
different math teacher every 6 weeks because of the amount of math teachers. The math teachers that we did not fulfill, they had all these students that now need algebra, and algebra is you got keystone assessment. And so a part of it, I'm not saying all of it, because I think a lot of it is, you're right, it's state, it's there's so much to answer. But attrition, and to your point, Mr. Bryant, with, you know, student to teacher ratio is big, and that shows across the board is that student to teacher ratio in the room, regardless of curriculum and fluency in COVID, but when that door closes and how many kids are in there, and my daughter, she lived it, and if anyone could be upset about this, it's me, because it's my daughter that had to live through that seventh grade, and she bumped around. I give Kylene credit, because I don't know how she did it, but they got through the math curriculum with I don't know how many different teachers, but I know every month she had a different math teacher. That's not, I think we would agree that that's not effective. That's not effective at all. So our decisions up here do impact that in staffing, I'll say, because my daughter lived it. Sorry.
No,
But
you're.
I think that contributes, this is last year's math, this is up to date, right?
Yes,
Yes,
yeah,
this is last spring.
This was our most
Yes.
recent PSSAs, and then here's a 4-year trend, so 2022, 23, 24, 25, of how the grade levels scored on each years of the PSSA. And then speaking of Algebra 1, yeah, that's quite the keystone. We had almost 30% of our kids pass the Algebra 1 last May. And then here are the numbers in comparison to the state. So our kids that passed versus kids across the state that took it and passed. And then again, that 4-year trend of our kids passing the Algebra 1 over the past 4 years, and the percentage of kids that are passing that and successful. So yeah, the numbers are what they are, and you know, been alluded to a couple of times tonight, what are you doing? So principals are meeting with grade levels and departments to go over math data. So we have different benchmarks that we give, there are different assessments that teachers give, so we're looking at that math data. We're looking at individual kids, we're looking at cohorts and groups of kids, and figuring out instructionally what we need to do, shift around to meet kids' needs, regardless of COVID consequence. You know, we've really had to, since COVID, look at each group of kids very carefully to see what holes and gaps they have, because each group has very different needs based on a lot of factors. So we're meeting, we're intentionally looking at that. Earlier this fall, end of September, early October, each principal met with Mr. Ford and Mrs. Feely to look at our building level data specifically, strengths, weaknesses, and what are you gonna do? So some of the stuff that I'm gonna talk about too came out of those principal meetings, whether it's staff development or like the regular data reviews, things that came out of looking at that data that, you know, we see the data, what are we gonna do with it, how are we going to improve it? Last year, PDE came out with a free benchmark, Firefly, and schools that have engaged in that last year, if they took it, it actually showed that schools got a 5.5% bump in their test scores just from taking the Firefly. And high schools also give the CDT, which both of those assessments are in the DRC platform, which is where our kids take their PSSA tests. So part of that is getting kids familiar with the platform, the online tools that they're gonna need to solve math problems, becoming familiar with that format so that they're not seeing it for the first time in April on their PSSA test, but we're exposing that to them earlier in the year, giving them practice, answering their questions in a safe way before it's high stakes testing. This came a little later than usual. We were waiting and waiting and waiting for the items in the scoring samplers to come out. Every year PDE puts out scoring samplers, you know, test items to give to kids to practice. We usually have them earlier. They just came out on Thursday, but they were shared with teachers, and so now they're able to see the items in the scoring samplers to help them get ready for this next round coming up with PSSAs in 2026. Speaking of win time and intervention and planning for kids' needs, we give a variety of assessments, but also we have some electronic things that we give kids that we can progress monitor them with and watch their growth to see how they're doing. Elementaries use Freckle quite a bit. It's tied to our STAR Renaissance platform, which is how we give our kids their benchmarks 3 times a year. And it levels kids where they took that benchmark. Teachers can obviously assign things in the platform if they need to, but it also individually levels for kids. So when they take that benchmark, they log into Freckle and it's meeting them how they performed on that benchmark to help assist them. We also have
also on Freckle, at least, because I'm familiar, it is a test that if Randy and I take it, it'll norm to how if he scores a yes on a question, it'll go a harder question. If I miss it, it'll then level off to help that kid, you know, right where he's at. So it's a very
not
good.
too easy, not too hard.
It's always right above them, right?
Yeah,
One
it's always
step.
right above.
So you could have a kid working first grade level, another one doing 6th grade work
Yes.
in the same, sitting right next to each other.
Yep. And these Success Maker, Study Island, 2 other forms of that give kids questions, practicing at a variety of levels to, again, get them ready for that state test. It provides teachers with progress monitoring data, and they're able to use that for their instruction, conference with kids. So we have those in place around the district.
We also have Math 180 as an intervention.
Thank you. Speaking of when, Math 180 is a really, really powerful intervention that we use. It's actually evidence-based. I mean, people like to talk about research-based. It's actually evidence-based that if you do it with fidelity, you're going to get the same results, which are successful. So it takes kids, it again levels them where they're working at. So maybe it's a group of 5th graders that are still really struggling with fractions. The program will put them in those modules and kids will continue working through fractions, along with teacher direct instruction too. There's an app component and then there's a direct instruction component. And it's meant to really close the standards gaps where kids are not doing well in math so that they can go back to the classroom and be where they're supposed to be with their grade level content.
The idea is to get them Algebra 1 ready with Math 180.
What do you mean they go back to the classroom?
Well, like for math instruction. Like eventually the goal is that they don't need that intervention forever and you've closed those gaps in math that they needed so that they're able to successfully do the grade level content.
So while they're doing that, are they not missing other instruction?
It's an addition to, so they're
We give it during win time, so there's that, so essentially there's no new instruction happening during that block of time. So the kids that need intervention are
Gotcha.
pulled and not missing core instruction.
Thank you.
That's been,
We've had,
Last pool thing.
we've had win time for a long time. We've made
we've
math the
restructured it,
focus of
yes,
it,
and we've
yes.
made math focus.
So we had a long-time winner.
WIN stands for what I need.
What I need now.
Yeah,
So whether you need it.
we've changed a little bit of the direction.
It was a heavy reading focus for many years, and we've shifted to more math focused in the last 2 years.
Okay.
I know, the data doesn't show it, but we have.
And then targeted professional development, all the campuses have had Kevin Morrow, who is PDE's math contact. He has been to all the campuses to offer different types of math trainings. So for example, he was at Sagertown this year, Sagertown Elementary, and met with teachers in grades 3 through 6 that teach math, and gave a 3-hour presentation about open-ended questioning. You know, coming back to that critical thinking piece that's been brought up tonight, open-ended questioning, getting kids to engage with the math content and be able to maybe talk to a partner about it, how to get kids to engage and parse out that higher level math. So he did a training on that, showed us some tools that were helpful to build assessments to get kids to engage in those types of questioning, and it was really beneficial. Building thinking classrooms is another piece of professional development that different teachers have engaged in. Ben Brost from IU6 has done a book study that teachers participated in for Act 48 credit. We also touched base on it at our first in-service day with IU5 staff coming in with our elementary teachers to talk about these strategies. And again, coming back to critical thinking, discussion-based. In a nutshell, Building Thinking Classrooms is a book of 14 really high-impact math strategies. The fellow that wrote the book researched it in literally thousands of classrooms over a 10-year period, and he wrote a book with the 14 things that he saw over time. These were the 14 things that really made the most impact in math instruction. So it's a really good book, and the teachers that have dug into those strategies have definitely saw improvements in their math scores over the past couple of years. And Patan math training is another offshoot of, Patty, what do you want to call it? An offshoot of PDE?
It is, yes.
Okay. So we have started sending teachers, Kevin Morrow from the math training encouraged some of our primary teachers to go to an early numeracy training that we just had a couple weeks ago down at our Patan in Pittsburgh. And it was all early numeracy, getting kids to have a strong number sense so that they are adding quicker, subtracting quicker. It was a K-1-2 focus that day, because obviously if they don't have a strong number sense, adding and subtracting is going to be hard, and then multiplication is going to be impossible. So the training was really focused on building strong early numeracy in K-1 and 2.
Thank you.
Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. We've really are starting to take a look at where our shortcomings are in math, and we're finding that our current resource, at least at the primary level, has a lot of it goes through a lot of topics quickly and doesn't allow us the opportunity to go deeper in those. So we're moving quickly through concepts and not getting time with the basic facts. So we're trying to rebuild those skills and look at our instructional practice at the primary level and then build that through at the secondary level. So it does take time, and I know that's not something we have a lot of, but we need to go back to those basic facts, building that strong foundation, and then look at that concrete knowledge and how to get our kids to think critically about those math skills to get to that Algebra 1 readiness. So it is that process that we're looking at K-12 and trying to build a stronger math foundation from the beginning and growing into more math-minded middle school, high school students.
So, I brought this up to you guys last year about the math, and I know you mentioned that you were looking at restructuring, because we were coming up to that point. The problem I have is, all this stuff sounds great, I'm sure it works, but what happened to flashcards? And how come we actually don't use them? Because I'll challenge anybody in this room to a flashcard duo of all my times tables, division, I can do them to this day. Because I had nuns, granted, and maybe that's why, maybe because I had nuns, but they were drilling it into my head through my whole grade school. Now, I'm not writing calculations to the moon,
You're not wrong, right?
but so why isn't that up there? Why aren't we saying we're using flashcards?
That's the
So
early
what-
numeracy.
They kind of renamed it into fact fluency, but kids are getting flashcards. There's a systematic way to go through it where the kids are only getting so many new ones at a time. So once they've developed automaticity, they can answer these 10 automatically. The teacher gives them 5 more.
Yeah, great.
And they work with a partner. So yeah, they are still using flashcards.
Do all of our schools are using flashcards? All 3 of our schools? All math teachers, all 3 schools? Or is it just select few that want to use them? Why are we not?
We
Why
need to
are we
revisit
not?
that
Why isn't that
apparently.
mandatory? Use flashcards somewhere. I'm telling you.
So
it's-
I believe
it's the-
that's part of the early numeracy that we're looking at and rebuilding. So we just started looking at the primary, like we sent 3 teachers 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago to Patton, trying to restructure that early literacy, I mean back on literacy, early numeracy to build those solid foundation skills. And you're right, flashcards and those, that fluency, fact fluency is
It's all
part of
coming
that.
back, yeah.
So we're coming back to where we were when I first started teaching, where we were doing flashcards and we were memorizing those facts and at those primary levels and doing times. You used to get the 1-minute time, how many problems can you do in 60 seconds, right? We're getting back there, so we're looking for those resources, we're really building that.
We used to have, drilled into my head, we used to have like 2 lines of the classroom, and they made it into a game, to see which line could get done faster in the classroom to answer the right answers. I mean, that's the simple things that we did when we were kids. It never changed. Government got involved and said, "Oh, we got to change it." Those things still work. We need to go back to them and make it mandatory. Not a suggestion. I want it. It needs to be mandatory.
Yes.
Well, I agree with you 1,000%, but I corrected some first grade tests for my wife last year, which I was helping with that. And those math tests in first grade, they're not stinking math. You gotta be able to freaking read.
Well, the 2 are correlated, right, yeah.
But, I mean, there was some, I went through one, just didn't look at the answer, just went through. It was tough.
You might wanna stop.
What's that?
You might wanna stop.
No, he's right. I would compare, I would compare
saying-
8th grade math is like our 10th grade. It's something.
Our math for these kids are not, the test that they're teaching for, and that's one thing I disagree with, is teaching for these PSSAs and stuff. But it's not just 2 plus 2 anymore. I mean,
But that's the basis of it, though. That's the foundation. If you don't have a footer, your building's gonna fall.
But I'm saying, when they get into these tests, though.
Oh, I agree, you have to change it up or something if the
But no,
state's making.
but these tests, they're unreal for a first grader, what they're wanting them to know. And I'll bring one in for you to see, I'm sure she has some, but it's unreal at what they're asking the first grader to do, or else I've just got that stupid.
The data you presented, that was
What
on
chunk?
raw
I
passing
heard you.
proficiency. It wasn't on growth.
No.
No.
Okay.
No, we did decide to do achievement.
Okay, because growth, I mean, if you're not proficient in grade 3, right?
Right.
Now we have a task to not only get you to grade 4, but then grade 4 proficiency. And then if you're still not, then you gotta get you to grade 5. And so that gap, that's why growth is often sometimes measured over achievement,
Correct.
especially since we don't control what comes in.
Right.
But I think we're gonna see that cohort of 7, 8
Well,
next, we're gonna talk next year will be what's going on, so we gotta be like careful. I think you're right, the 7th and 8th grade is reflective of probably what we've done in 3rd and 4th. But I'm sure you know that, I just had to ask if we had a growth data up there.
What I'm interested in is, you showed 2025, but I'm interested in the changes from 2024 to 2025. And I'd like to see how, over the years, we show that, or we don't.
So she had one
You mean
slide.
we
that
got
went
2025.
She had a slide that
So
went
you don't
40
see
40
that
years.
here.
Okay. But their grades. But
So you
what
can
about
see
all
what
of them
it
across the
So you-
board?
If you look at this longitudinally,
Oh, I
in
see.
2022, was third grade was here, and then 2023, they would be your fourth graders.
Mhm.
2024, they would be your fifth graders, so you can see
I guess I'm just
longitudinally.
asking it to be
I thought you
shown
were
differently.
asking, what's,
No, I see what you're
what's the
saying.
progress over years though, with the same student group? Can we really demonstrate?
That's what I was just
She
showing you.
just showed.
The right
Well,
hand.
So
Yeah,
this
but
is the
be
same
the
student
cohort.
group.
Just a
Oh,
different.
it's the same student?
This,
Right,
this,
just
Yeah.
a grade
just
You
above.
your
just
grade
move- you just
3
move-
in
I
2022
mean, we can make
would be
an
your
easier
grade
chart to read,
4.
but you can do it up
So
here.
that's going the wrong way.
No, it's,
No, it's the right way. In
Just have to look when they
2022,
move into the
they were
different
third
classes.
grade. In 2023, they were fourth graders. 2024, they're fifth
No,
graders.
it's staying pretty close to saying that.
and
26.
I think a lot of that is, if you're not proficient, then you move up a grade, you gotta not only
Right.
try to carry that, you gotta
Right,
become
yeah.
proficient, and
Right.
so actually, oftentimes you see it going, because that gap widens.
We go up through fifth grade and we went, like
Then
with
we
that
start going
cohort, Herod, sixth, and
And that's, I guess I'd like to see one grade and their progress through. You know, it would just have to be a different.
So this,
Well,
So we
chart.
gained, this particular group of students, we gained proficiency from third to fourth grade
Mhm.
and fourth to fifth grade. And then they stayed pretty stagnant, fifth to sixth grade. We don't have their seventh grade data yet, because that'll be this year's data.
Right.
That particular cohort of students.
Okay.
But the kids that, if you think about it in third grade, the kids are just making the proficiency. If they lose a little bit in fourth grade, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna keep dragging down that little bit, so
We're
the kids
growing.
all have to be up to par. And it really,
Shows we're
it
growing.
goes back, it starts with first, kindergarten. They have to get their bases in kindergarten to be able to stay up.
I mean, we could
I'm
make
sorry,
this.
I was just
better.
no, I was gonna say, and I'll make a comment, and maybe we can move on, is
Yeah.
that this board seems very interested in data and achievement, and I sometimes have to check myself, because I live in this world, and I wanna try to look at it from a different lens, and I think maybe that we could entertain as a board some type of meeting. We've had a lot of meetings, so I wouldn't suggest anytime soon, but maybe within the calendar year, a meeting on explanation of data. We get these 30-minute quips, but I feel that the board seems to be more intrigued with data. Data points, what's being done for growth. Not to put more work on your plate, but I think we have a board that's invested, and I think that's a good thing, so.
I'd be intrigued with accountability as well. That's all I'll say.
Thank you.
Good job, Eric.
Thanks, Aaron.
My pleasure. Back to our agenda. I think that was the end of my discussion items, and then I had to report. Okay.
All right.
It's only 8:25.
I will also be bringing you next month, our program of studies will be coming for approval next month, just to give you a heads up that's coming. For approval tonight, we'll have the comprehensive plan. There were some minor adjustments made to that, but for the most part, it's very similar to what you saw and what was posted for the month. We have guest speakers and presenters for all the buildings, and I'm not gonna read through those, they were listed for you. We have student travel, we have volleyball teams going and band members going to regional band. We talked about the draft calendar. We do have an item on there for SPAC, which is the Title I Parent Conference. We have a family out of Maplewood that we would like to send to that, and that's a requirement for Title I, and that's paid for out of Title I funds. And we have the agreement for Bethesda All Ed, and that's an annual agreement for those seats. And then we're looking to add 2 courses, Global Science, the curriculum and course for that, as well as financial literacy, which we've talked about, that's a requirement as well for grades 10 through 12. And then we have 1 book that was donated to the Maplewood Library, and then that's all I have.
Any questions?
Okay. You ready? All right. I'm gonna try and keep it brief for you guys. I just have a couple updates and then one voting item for you tonight. On February 6th, the district received our permit application from DEP for the chlorine contact modification associated with the water system project we talked about earlier in the year. We're doing some additional testing and analysis with our engineer Dyson Holme, and then Moody and Associates well drilling. That's needed in preparation for the second submission for our permit application. This application is going to focus on upgrades to the system. That system, the pumps, the wells, was put in the late 90s. And like we talked about before, we need to do the project for a chlorine contact time, including the additional work for the rest of the system would bring it up to code and kind of overhaul that system, which has been in since the early 90s. The permit modification system could take anywhere between 4 to 12 weeks. We got a quick turnaround on the first application. We're hoping for a quick turnaround on the second, and then we would be looking probably to go out to bid May time for a summer construction, and we would bring that to you guys at that point. Second item is on February 13th, we had a water main break in our parking lot. It was the main water line that feeds from the high school down here to the elementary school. We responded to it pretty quickly. We brought in Mansfield Sanitation, who worked through the night to get the parking lot, section of the parking lot excavated and the water line fixed. We've met with our insurance carrier to see if anything, it doesn't sound like the initial repair is going to be covered by insurance. But we've given them the estimate to replace the rest of the line coming into the building because it's thin wall PVC, Schedule 26. It was installed in the 90s. There's not a good gravel base. It was basically installed in dirt and then filled over top. And there's no way to prove that there's not possible more breaks in that pipe. So we would like to have the rest of that section of pipe replaced. In addition to that, we have a lot of parking lot work that needs to happen this summer from that and around the campus. So we're working with our insurance carrier to see what, if anything, is going to be covered, and then start our capital planning for this year to do the parking lot repairs. The item that you'll see up for vote tonight is for the purchase of a maintenance truck. I have a couple handouts for you that I'll kind of run through. At one point this winter, we found ourselves with 4 of our trucks in our fleet were out of service at the same time. That highlighted what I feel has been a critical problem that's been building in the district for years, is that our equipment fleet has aged to the point where it's not sustainable. Currently, we have 15 trucks district-wide. Average age of those trucks is about 17 and a half years, and the average mileage is 158,000 miles. The first handout that you'll see that is highlighted yellow is all of our truck fleet. Most of these vehicles were purchased used in various conditions, and they were selected primarily to stay under purchasing thresholds instead of thinking about long-term durability. The district mechanics have done a wonderful job keeping these vehicles roadworthy. We've done engine replacements, transmission replacements, full overhauls. Well, in my mind, we've reached a kind of a critical point. To explore what the used vehicle market looked like, we did a public bid, and we evaluated submissions using a scoring matrix, which took age, condition, price, and mileage into account. None of the submissions that we got, in my opinion, that would be the second handout, scored very highly, enough to justify a purchase. The used market is very inflated right now and availability is limited, so in my mind, it's not a good assessment to go that route. We did discuss the possibility of expanding that search radius. In this bid spec, we did a 100-mile radius. The challenges to do that would be travel, inspecting vehicles purchased out of state, getting them here, and then anything over $24,500 requires us to do a public bid anyway. So we've obtained 3 quotes through CoStar's approved dealerships nearby. We have funding available in our maintenance budget to do this. In my opinion, purchasing new provides a full warranty, more predictable operating costs, and a service life of 10 to 15 years with a trade-in value at the end of its life. This would allow us to build equity and shift from a reactive spending model to a more long-term responsible management. Tonight I'm requesting approval to purchase 1 new maintenance truck as I believe it's necessary and a responsible investment for the reasons I've given. Looking to the future, I see the need to get us on a replacement cycle. My plan to do that would be, working with Kristen as we start to lay out our budget for the year, to purchase 1 new vehicle year after year and replace the oldest or the most worn in our fleet. I think that will give us some stabilization and help reduce emergency repairs and prevent, issues down the road. So I look forward to any questions you guys have about the handout or about the quotes or anything in general.
The price of used trucks are horrible. I've been searching all over Texas and Florida.
Yeah.
Not for you, but I've been
Well,
looking too, but.
We looked as well, and it's just, it's.
The problem is to find stuff that has less than 100,000 miles, you're only talking 15, 20,000 less than a brand new one.
Yeah, we looked at it was a 6-year-old truck, I think was one of the bids on there, was the newest truck, and they wanted $31,000 for it. I mean, and no
And that's
warranty.
Great Lakes.
Yeah.
I won't buy from Great Lakes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't approve it.
So, I mean, we think this would be the best investment for the district. So, that's all I have.
Those prices are within line, I mean.
Thanks, Richard. Yep, you're up.
All right, I'm up. I will also try to be brief. So on the agenda, you'll see our traditional reports every month. We have our treasurer's report of disbursements for your approval. There's only 1 budget transfer on there, and that's within the building. And then other items, these are annual agreements, so we need to seek approval for the IU5 budget. So that is the Northwest Tri-County Intermediate Unit who they're overseeing all of us. We have to approve their budget so that they can take it back. And within that budget, it is $78,909,222. Our contribution that directly goes to their general Fund 10 in the school improvement is $54,469. So this is the amount that is taken directly from our subsidy based on our pupil count. So that goes directly to them. We don't even see it. If the state takes it, it gives it directly to the IU. Again, they're funded through us and then passed through from other districts. So you're seeking approval on that. The next is the IDEA agreements. Again, reoccurring agreements every year. These are pass-through agreements from the IU5 to us. So they just got notified that the grant was approved. So we're seeking approval for the IDEA Part D, which is $502,548.28. We use that money for our a few learning support teachers for salaries and benefits. The other is the IDEA 619, which is only $5,166, and that is used to offset a special education service for the kindergarten students. Usually it's the speech. So those are the 2 items on the agenda for approval. The next item is not on the agenda for approval. We are in the habit of bringing you guys information and then we approve it next month. So we have been looking really since 2021 for a time management solution. Currently we have all paper process for timesheets. So we started this process again. We dabbled into it last year, but we started again looking heavily in November. And we have found that our current financial provider has a time management solution that'll work for our needs. Currently, we rely on 100% manual timesheet tracking, so they're done by paper. They fill them out or on their computer, print them, send them over to the business office. Payroll has to manually key all these timesheets into the system, and then we have to cross-reference between the time management, the timesheets versus the absence sheets to make sure that they took a day off and that was on their timesheet. So it's a very manual, labor-intensive process. So with the system, it would be a very, our current process in it is ineffective. You risk payroll inaccuracies. Not that people are, writing things down wrong, but occasionally it's habit. You do your timesheet and it gets sent. We may have had a delay that day if we don't catch it. It could possibly be paid. So little things like that. The benefits, it'll integrate currently with our current ProSoft system, and we also use that for our absence reporting, so that whenever you put in a day off, it'll automatically flow to their timesheet, which will eliminate that duplication of cross-referencing and auditing. It'll automate it and streamline it. It'll improve accuracy and time and payroll processing, because again, it's about 2 days just to enter timesheets. We have, 400 employees potentially that could be entered each time with your extracurricular activities, along with our current people who are time. It'll help with analytics, so we can pull those timesheets. It'll all be stored digitally if we need to run reports on averages and things like that. So it'll help with the data reporting and for decision making in the future. Adopting this system will align with the business office strategic goals and operation efficiency and effectiveness, controlling costs by having more visibility with the reporting, and provide accountability from the employees all the way up. It'll help streamline all the processes. So the cost, there's obviously an implementation cost with the software. So up front, it's a one-time fee of $9,160. And yes, I've negotiated this several times, and this is the lowest that we can get to after 3 times. And then there's only an ongoing maintenance fee of $15.25 every year. With that maintenance fee, our ProSoft bill will remain the same for next year. If we implement this, we are gonna remove one module that'll replace, and then this will replace that module. Therefore, our costs, there'll be no net change for our bill in the future. We'll just have that one-time fee of $9,160. We have looked at other ways of savings within our software costs. We've audited, software, so that's where, we'll use that money that we've saved in other softwares to help pay the one-time fee to get this implemented. If it's approved in April, it's only about a 3-week lead time to go ahead and set this up because we've already, the back end work's mostly done and how we have everything in our system, so we can start tracking around May 1st. We'll start with a small group, do a little test, and then next year we'll go fully live with the time management solution. So, the other item of business that I want to go over that is not an agenda item as well is just the budget update. So the budget is nearly complete. I'm currently making the final adjustments to it, which are primarily related to healthcare cost. They have increased significantly. It's the primary driver of the current budget deficit that we're at. So within our healthcare trust, we're currently $2,641,524 to the negative. So this deficit has carried forward for several years. It's mainly from 22, 23. Due to unfavorable claim years. We've had high-cost claimants that have contributed to this that we're carrying through, which is then reflecting in our rates for next year to try to get us out of arrears. Claims have stabilized this year, so we're within a manageable projection of this year, but with the historical deficit that still remains in the trust, like I said, it carries forward every year. So I'm proposing that we use the assigned fund balance up to the $2.6 million to address the trust deficit. This is allocated in our fund balance. It's been assigned. We have not utilized it. I think we're at the point now we will need to take that money that we have assigned for the healthcare increases and pay that into our healthcare claims to get us at a level, or at least a manageable rate, going forward. Again, these are claims that have just, they've been on there and they're reoccurring, and we can't dig ourselves out due to the past. But this year, we're on track to be right on schedule. It's a one-time expense, which is what your fund balance is for. We don't want, it's non-recurring. We can't dip into the fund balance for reoccurring expenses, because then it will never catch up. So it's a one-time use of the fund balance reserve, and it'll help the healthcare increase for next year. It was quite large, again, due to our deficit, so if we can pay off this balance, it'll help reduce that cost for next year, and make it a little more manageable. Again, paying the lump sum would reset the projection for next year. Eliminating the debt now lowers the healthcare line item for next year, which, I mean, we're at 1.9 million increase, so this will help get that back down to a more balanced budget for next year and then in future years. We're currently reviewing additional programs and incentives within managing long-term healthcare costs, encouraging cost-effective healthcare options, and incentivizing other insurance options for the staff. We're seeking, so that's the trust part. So, like I said, I'd like to dip into that. We have rolled money into fund balance the past couple of years, so that is my plan. I'd like to, work with our trust manager, say if we put in this much, how does that affect our rates next year, just to get that budget deficit into a more manageable state. Any questions, concerns on that aspect?
Yeah, if we pay that 2.6, what's our balance?
We would be at $0 balance, we'd be level, so the money we're putting in it.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't say that right.
We'd be at 14. Yeah.
You'll learn that I don't say things correctly.
That's
No,
just side of the table.
Other fund balance,
You're not alone.
Yeah.
other fund balance, what would our balance be?
So we would still be at 14, I will tell you the exact numbers, so.
It's a rough estimate.
We're at
I'm just curious.
16.8 right now, we would take out 2.8, we'd be 14.8. So
Okay.
we still have a healthy fund balance.
I just
to
didn't know
get
what
us-
we were at, okay, good.
Yep, it's been assigned in there. I've been assigning that money in there for those healthcare increases, again, for this exact reason. We're at a point now, I think that we've been trying to dig ourselves out and help with, employee contributions and things like that, changing programs. But we need to just get rid of this debt that we've been carrying
hole's too
basically
deep.
for 4 years, yeah.
What, do you know off the top of your head, what was our cyber payout?
Last year,
Yeah.
like $2 million. Yeah. With the cyber
For-
reform, again,
That's
they're
not-
hoping to
that's not
save like
PENNCREST cyber.
230. No, that's not PENNCREST.
But there was reform coming.
Well, we had that little reform last
Little,
year, or last
Yeah,
budget
little
season
bit.
that they passed, and it was favorable. I mean, it's like 200,000 that it'll help
Oh,
us, I
that's
think.
fine. That's a
There
drop
might
in
be
budget.
talks in this new budget again, the governor gave it in February. We have not received any updates yet, but they are hopefully gonna be coming here in the middle of the month. We might have a better idea. Again, it's an election year, so we're hoping, what we're hearing is the budget may be more on time this year than October. So hopefully we'll have another reform, because you're right, that would definitely help, and that would help with our healthcare costs if we didn't pay that much to outside
So
cyber.
the 2.6 million in the hole, how long did that take to get?
That was from 2022 and 2023,
So-
basically.
4 years?
Yeah, so we've been carrying it over.
So possibly it could happen again, though. I mean-
It's possible, but this is where we stand today. We
Right,
would be
right.
clean. Right now, we're ahead of about 200,000. We have a little cushion right now. Those are claims only through January. We're self-funded, so we pay those claims as they come in.
Right.
But that would at least get us level
Right.
to help manage going forward.
Yeah.
Not to say, healthcare is expensive, and whenever you have catastrophic events, it was just a few claims that kind of put few issues that put us over the edge. Not to say it can't happen tomorrow.
Right, yeah, I mean, you can't plan for that.
We can't
you know.
predict it,
I was
but-
just curious on how long that's been.
Yeah, it's been
that
about
deep.
4 years now
Okay.
that we've been carrying over that balance. Any other questions?
But speaking of healthcare costs, isn't that what the 754,000 is going into?
That's correct. We funded at
Is-
$25.50 per person
Is, how frequent do we pay that?
every month.
You hear that? 754,000 1 month.
That's correct. Again, we funded at a composite rate of $25.50 per person, and that's per person that's on the healthcare. So it's around, it fluctuates from $298 to $303, which is why you'll notice on those bills they're slightly different, but they're right all around there. Anything else on that? Okay. As far as the budget presentation, typically we do that at the April meeting. I am just seeking feedback. Do you want that at the April meeting, or would you like to have a meeting prior to that to get that information? So like a separate finance meeting, so it's its own meeting, so, I mean, you've seen how long tonight's meeting's kind of long.
I would recommend
presentation.
a separate.
I would too.
Yeah, I would like to.
It gets too long.
April 1st is our
That's the date we've been
recommendation.
talking about.
Krista and I are
April
both
Fools.
at our, Krista and I have
No, it's not an April
our
Fool's joke.
professional
Yeah, she'll do the whole meeting.
going
at
for
the end,
2
she'll
weeks,
say,
so
"Just
I'm
kidding."
1 week, she's the next, so.
Psych.
That is a Wednesday, just so everybody's aware.
It's a Wednesday,
Well,
April
it does
1st.
good-
We were gonna do Good Friday as the 3rd, and then Easter's Sunday. We were thinking the
Right.
2nd, but I didn't know if people were gonna be traveling, and then if you're coming back from Easter, I didn't know that Monday the 6th
Thursday.
And then our voting meeting is,
is the 13th, so that would give you some
Yeah,
time to get the budget,
Whatever.
think of questions, or,
Whatever you guys want, I'm good with.
okay.
okay, hearing none.
And then we certainly can have another meeting after the 13th if we
Absolutely.
need to have
Yep.
another finance meeting.
Of course.
But at least if it's its own meeting, we'll have more time for discussion and to talk about things. So are we good with the April 1st meeting,
Yep.
like 6 o'clock?
Good.
Okay.
6:30?
6:30?
30.
6:30?
Yeah, 6 o'clock's tough.
Okay, well, that's fine, I'm asking. I will get that advertised and we will get it posted on the website. We will be doing the budget, presentation on April 1st, 6:30, here at Central Office. Okay,
Okay,
and that is all I have.
we'll move into the voting meeting. We have no registered citizen comments. So we will move into non-registered citizens, if there's any. Going once.
I think they all.
All right, we'll move into the approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes. Resolve that the PENNCREST School Board approve the following minutes. February 9th, school board meeting, and February 16th, special voting meeting.
So move.
Second.
Motion second. Any comments or questions regarding the minutes? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Policies, approval. I'll entertain a motion for policy approval. Resolve that the PENNCREST School Board of Directors approve the following policies. Policy 105.2, 204, 214, 218.1, 805, 805 attachment, and 805.1.
So move.
805.2 and 816.
So move.
Second.
Hearing motion second, any questions regarding policies?
Yes. On the policy with the, if a student brings a weapon, it says that they will be expelled for a year. And I would recommend we change that to could be expelled for a year. In other words, some kid brings a pocket knife inadvertently. You know, a lot of our kids are hunters and that kind of stuff. I can't see we would expel a kid for bringing a pocket knife too. And there's qualifying language later that says the
Right.
superintendent can,
Right.
let's just change it to.
Yeah, I agree, even though there's
Yeah.
something after that, let's
Yeah, I was gonna
just
say, 'cause
squash
we
it.
don't, you know, I don't go by circumstances like that, so.
Are we legally required to have that language in there? Because I know that was there was a, what was it, zero tolerance laws passed?
Yeah, but it doesn't say that it has to be expelled for a year.
Okay.
I don't believe.
Jordan, are you on there?
He's starved.
Probably stepped out.
To be over.
Okay.
You hear the question?
Yeah, I'm here. I just, to be honest with you, well, I could not hear the question. Somebody could repeat it to me.
I lost you.
It's policy 218.1 regarding weapons, the need for a required 1 year expulsion. Is there room for the board to
Yes,
have?
that is that's mandatory language.
Then we say below that the superintendent can make his own decision, I don't.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, and the following comment is, below in the policy, we have superintendent, liberty within that. How can both be true at the same time?
Yeah, that is true. So 218.1 does have the mandatory expulsion language, but your superintendent can, at his discretion, recommend a downward deviation in that expulsion. And it's sort of like a sentencing almost, if you think about it that way, to have a little bit of discretion to deviate from that. If the superintendent does not weigh in, which I've had happen at plenty of disciplinary hearings, or declines to make a recommendation, then obviously the 1-year mandatory suspension carries through. So yes, but that's how the statute's written. I'm sure everyone will find it shocking that the Pennsylvania General Assembly made things more confusing than they need to be.
Just disregard my comment then. And, drive on.
Have you ever followed, have you always taken into account some type of,
I have, yes.
Yeah, we've had a few
Because,
situations.
we've had it already.
Yeah.
We put out messages because of the kid.
Right.
I'm not penalizing a kid, especially if they remember and they come in and do it the right way. Now, we've explained to the students how to do it the right way too.
and Jordan and Mr. Bryant, I think it will be interesting going forward, because now we have the new law where we have to
Right.
make everybody aware, and then we have this on our website. So that, okay, I have a motion and second. Any further questions regarding policy? Okay, policy approval, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to the education report. As always, we do like to do consent agendas. Let me know if that's an issue. I'd like to entertain a motion for consent agenda of the education report, items B through K.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions regarding the education report?
Wait a second.
I'm on the education report. Item 6.
Number 6.
Education report B through K.
So a comprehensive plan.
I think you had a question regarding comprehensive plan,
I do.
Mr. Bryant. That would be the opportunity.
Number H.
I don't think I'm gonna change anybody's mind, but I was very disappointed in the comprehensive report. And I'll just make a couple comments. I would definitely not vote to approve it. It does not appear to me like we understand why our kids are doing poorly in reading or math. We don't hold anybody accountable. We don't say this is what's going on. But yet we say we're gonna fix it by spending more money on technology. And if we approve it, there's an implicit bill of increasing expenditures for electronics. And up until tonight, I appreciate the presentation that was given. I do see there's some value in electronics. But kids scored well on some of these tests long before there were electronics. So we're signing up to a bill for increasing the amount of money every year for 3 years that we're going to spend on electronics. And I personally doubt that we can substantiate that that's really going to make a difference. So I'm a definite no, and I have lots of other notes, but we'll just waste everybody's time.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Is it in the state that you would always put our attendance first? Like we're saying, look how good our attendance is, but our scores are down here below it.
It is the
That's how they have
the
it set up?
strengths came through first in
Okay.
in the way
All
you
right.
do the.
It just seemed, okay, thank you.
I'd like to comment on what Fred said. I guess if you look, we put it at the end and of that document. And the thought process is we need to be on a recycle, okay? We're gonna talk about that April 1st. But from a technology perspective, I'll give you an example. Right now, most of our students are using Apple Gen 7 or 8 right now, and some 6s. And right now, Apple's up to an Apple 12. So the thought process was, most districts come up and have a plan to recycle those like 1 or 2 grade levels every year. And so that was part of, because that's another aspect of the plan.
I can appreciate that, but it really doesn't have anything to do substantially with these scores. And like he was saying, you know, we used to have flashcards and that kind of stuff, and we still could do our math. And so we're pretending that this technology issue is what's slowing us down, and we talk about inadequate funding for technology. That all implies that we're going to spend more, right? I mean, if that's a finding, that we're not spending enough on technology, and we approve this thing, then that means in 3 years, when our kids aren't doing any better, we failed unless we spent a lot more money on technology. And I'm not at all convinced that's our problem.
Fred, I think you're misunderstanding.
I don't think I am. You
piece
said
of
that
the
last time.
plan.
It says it explicitly,
But
that we're gonna spend more on technology, and that's part of the solution to our problem.
It says that, but that piece of the plan is because we have, in addition to the comprehensive plan, there were 5 additional plans at the back end of that plan.
And it
One
says
of
it
them-
in multiple places.
One of them is the technology plan. We were required to do a technology plan for the district, a special ed plan, a technology plan, an induction plan, a professional development plan. There were 5 plans that were required. The technology plan is one of those 5 plans. In that technology plan, the plan was to have a 4-year cycle to replace devices. That's essentially the meat and potatoes of the technology plan for the district.
So if we say yes, then we have to spend that money.
No.
No, not at all.
No, we don't have to spend
No.
it, but when
You
the
don't.
kids don't do better, and we do this next report in 3 years, they're gonna say, and the reason they didn't do better is because we didn't spend more on our technology plan like we said we would.
Right.
No.
Well, of course
No,
it's what
they
it
haven't
means.
done that before.
Well, it's what it means. Why would you do a plan and then not follow it?
Because a lot of this is stuff that the state is requiring.
Come on, I mean, then
No,
let's
come
not
on.
do it at all. If you,
Brother, we
listen,
cannot not
if-
do it
If
at
we're approving something that we don't believe in and we're not gonna do, then why are we approving?
I don't disagree with you, because I think I already expressed that to you.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
I mean, there's no money tied to that plan at all. And the board, last year, we cut in and we didn't purchase any of the iPads, all right? And we're gonna look at the budget again this year. And if it can't support, but the danger is, we have to test online now. So that's not an option anymore, we have to test. So now we start kids, you saw Freckle, we're utilizing those same skills that they're learning and testing, because we have to test online. It's not an option, we can't use paper and pencil anymore. That's,
Yeah.
so there's certain aspects of it, so, and we're looking at multiple options. We're not just looking at Apple, by the way, I'm just using that because that's what we have currently. And so that's what I'm saying. But this board can always say, and Chris, we may come back and say, we don't recommend doing that because we can't afford it.
But we cannot table this because you have the date that it needs to be.
March 31st.
Okay.
But this plan isn't influencing,
The budget or.
and we can say no. This board has the possibility of saying no. All right, if we can't afford it and we show you the budget numbers, we'll tell you no. All right, so I don't think one equals the other. Mr. Fred does.
Well, I beg your pardon, but we say in the report that one of the reasons is we have limited, these are quotes out of your report, limited staff availability, limited technology deficiencies that are causing low test scores. I mean, that's what it says. And I don't understand,
We did take
you know,
that
what's
out.
the?
We took that out,
We
Fred.
took
Yeah,
that.
I just read it.
What page? On the one that was
It's on
just
page
sent out?
28.
On the one that was
The
just
end
sent
or the-
out?
It's right on, I don't know, it's on 28.
On the one that was just sent, that was resent out, or the one
Yes.
that was sent out the first time? Because we redid and took out 2 technology statements.
I don't want to waste everybody's time. It's really disappointing to me, and it honestly looks juvenile. if I were trying to do an honest assessment, I would go to the teachers. I would try to find out, what's going on with the curriculum, what's going on in the classroom, why are we not improving our test scores? But that report looks silly. So I'm done.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Here's what I'd like to do. We'll do consent agenda B through K, exempt H, and then do a roll call vote on H. So I have a motion and second on consent agenda items B through K.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other questions or comments regarding B through K? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move to H. This would be resolved that the resolved the PENNCREST School Board of Directors approve the attached comprehensive plan. The one that was on the website, are we all clear that that's the one we're voting on?
No, it's the one that was emailed,
The one that was emailed on live?
attached last week,
Okay.
that was emailed with your, newsletter.
Okay, the newsletter, got it. I'll entertain a motion for comprehensive plan 2026 through 2029.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further comments or questions? Okay, I'll do a roll call vote on this, please. Item H.
Ms. Beers?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yep.
Mr. Bryant?
No.
Mr. Chauncey?
No.
Reverend Custard?
No.
Ms. Bennett? No. Mr. DiGiacomo?
Yes.
Mr. Staborski?
Yes. All right. That's
5-4.
facilities now. Thank you for that discussion. We now have facilities and transportation. Once again, consent agenda items B through C. Resolve the PENNCREST School Board of Directors approve the consent agenda. Facilities B through C.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Comments or questions regarding facility report?
My only question was, were these the only 3 quotes that came back? I guess,
Those, the three
that,
quotes,
that are on Champion Board, Bob Randall Board, Schultz Board, those are the 3 that.
the 3 quotes
bid.
are new, yes. We did also reach out to McCandless, being that they're a little more local. They don't participate in Co-Stars at the Meadville location, they do at the Mercer location.
Okay.
So those are the only 3 quotes that we got for new, yes.
Any other comments or questions regarding facilities?
Are any of those vehicles driven home to work?
1,
Thank you.
yes.
Good questions. Okay, for approval, all in favor say aye.
He's got a comment.
Sorry.
Real quick, are those vehicles, any of them used for personal use anymore?
No.
No doctor's visits in Conneaut Lake and
Nope.
stuff like that?
Nope,
That's all been
not that
taken
I'm
care
aware of.
Are they being used for arrival to work at point A to be driven to a different
Well, yeah.
campus, point B?
Yes.
They are.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
For someone to
Yeah.
come to work, get in a district vehicle, and then go to where they're assigned.
We have maintenance
Or back and
managers
forth.
that leave their vehicle at their closest campus from the location. Yes. That was in place, we've talked about it. It was in place before me, we've talked about it. There's times where it benefits the district, where they're not coming right to their home location, they're going to a vendor to pick up parts. It's something we can discuss.
Incorporate.
Yeah. It's certainly something we can
I
discuss.
think it's something we need to look at.
Yeah.
yeah.
The optics of it, at least, look bad, but there's probably a reason. I trust you to it.
I only have one, so that's the 3 maintenance supervisors for each attendance area. I mean, that benefit was given to all of them when they previously had it. I only have one that actually is utilizing that right now, so something we'll look at.
Okay, any other questions regarding facilities and transportation?
No, I think that's valid.
Okay, all in favor of items B through C, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, on to financial report. I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda, items B through F of the financial report.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Any comments or questions regarding the financial report, items B through F? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to personnel report, item 9. I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda, items B through D.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Any comments or questions of the personnel report? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I think Mr. Custard brought up a good point last week. We have a number of retirees who have done cumulative years to the district, and the board would like to thank those, present company included, for your time to PENNCREST and to our communities and to our students. So thank you for that. The board recognizes that as well.
Is that? I'm sorry.
Debbie, that's Debbie.
Debbie, okay.
Good job, Debbie.
It's been a long meeting, but I'm gonna give a 30-second anecdote. When I had you for class, I was not doing an assignment and you called home. And that might have been the first novel I read cover to cover. And I did it. And so it was because of the call home. It's small things like that.
And we need more of that.
Debbie's, you talk about getting results, one of the top one in the district for getting results. So we're gonna miss her, all right? I'm not always gonna miss you when we're having meetings, all right? But I'm gonna miss you teaching, for sure, all right? So,
Okay, announcements. The board had met executive session on March 2nd for legal matters, and we also met executive session on March 9th for negotiations, personnel, and legal matters. At this point, we have any citizen comments on non-agenda items? We allowed the speaker to go ahead, which is probably a wise idea.
Yes.
So I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing comments or questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Executive session. Ryan?